Hello, everyone, and welcome to Conversations in Horror, the podcast. I'm your host, Kevin L. Powers. I'm also the owner-operator of Something Wiki Entertainment and Events, and I want to welcome you to our program in which I take an individual horror film, and me and my special guest sit down, and we talk, have a conversation, critique, and analyze this particular film. Now, you are in for a treat because this month is our franchise themed month, and we are doing nothing but bringing you episodes on each individual film within a franchise. And if you are following us that as of right now, we are actually discussing the franchise that is Warlock. But today's episode is going to feature the sequel to that movie, which is Warlock, the Armageddon from 1993. And to discuss this film with me, I brought on my esteemed colleagues, Mr. Thomas Tillerello and Dave Watkins. Thank you guys for showing up for this episode.
It's good to be back to talk about another Warlock film. This is 2 of 3 of them.
Yes, and it exists indeed.
No, a lot of people don't know about the third one. More people probably know about this one.
Yes.
But,
Yeah. This one had a theatrical release, but the third one I think it was a straight to DVD flick, and it didn't even have Julian Sands in it again. So
the third, you're talking about the third one. The second one does. Julian Sands does return as the Warlock.
He returns for this one, but not for the third one. Bruce Payne replaces him as the Warlock in the third one. But if you want to know more about that film,
I don't hate Bruce Payne though.
No, I don't dislike. We discussed.
Hate's a strong word anyway. But
I actually like and enjoy Bruce Payne in a lot of the films that he's been in. So no, we're not going to talk about that yet, anyways, because we're going to get into that whole film, The End of Innocence, on its own in another episode that we hope you will listen to right after you listen to this one. But for this episode, we're going to stick to the second film, The Armageddon, which is, how can I say, maybe a little bit exciting and maybe not so exciting to talk about. Okay.
Well, it's going to be exciting to talk about. Whether or not it's exciting to watch, we'll get into that, I think.
Yeah, we're going to get into that. So I do have to ask, guys, when was your first experience with this film, and what were kind of your general first impressions?
Who are you going to start with, Kevin?
You know what? That's a good question. Who we start with? We started with you, Thomas, last time, so let's start off with Dave this time.
Yeah.
All right, Warlock 2. So I think I saw this on HBO or something like that, and I remember liking it. You know, it's not as good as the first one, but I remember thought it was some of the special effects kind of remind me of something out of Evil Dead. Some of the shots, it was kind of like they're trying to be kind of like the Evil Dead, but I like Julian Sands coming back. I think it moves okay. It does have some issues with, I guess, a little bit, unlike the first one. The stakes are a little higher. The stakes are kind of high here, but it doesn't really hit into full throttle until the last 30 or 40 minutes. But there's also a bit of a mystery going on with some of the things. This is one I think that I liked it in high school when I watched it, and I remember some of my friends thought it was really bad, and I can see why they think it was bad. I don't think it's a great movie, but at the same time, it was one that, upon rewatching it, I think every time I watched it, I liked it okay, but I do have. This is not one that's without you put it under a microscope. It's not going to hold up very well for very long.
Okay. So what about you, Thomas? What were your impressions of this film?
Well, Kevin, let's see. Well, I have to think way back. I remember, if you remember the previous episode, ladies and gentlemen, you know how much I talked about how the first movie, Warlock, stirred my adolescent, my pre-adolescent imagination so much that I dressed up in a Halloween costume, my own bespoke costume as a Warlock, one year for Halloween. So this movie, when did this movie come out? This came out in 1993. Mm-hmm. So I was in middle school when this came out, so it wasn't too far after. As the first one came out in 88, and I had seen the first one on probably HBO or probably one of the many, many different pay channels. There were so many different cables. There's so many different Cinemax clones out there.
I can remember the trailer, like not the trailer, like the advertisement for this on HBO too. It was like Warlock to Armageddon, and then it showed a few
Yes, I
shots of
do remember seeing
yeah.
I do remember seeing the trailer to this movie.
Yeah.
And seeing Julian Sands bellow at the sky. Is this the best you can do?
Yeah,
And
exactly.
and being amazed at the time of seeing these gems spinning around him in a circle. And I thought, ooh, this is going to be epic. And I didn't get around to seeing it until probably probably in high school. So like I'm sure that I saw TV ads for it in middle school, and then high school finally saw parts of it. I never actually watched this thing all the way through until day before yesterday. Yeah. So because I remember like whenever I would sit down to watch parts of it, I would be like, yeah, this isn't as good. I just felt like, and back in those days, if you didn't watch like something, you just changed the channel. And that's what I did. I changed the channel. I mean, if there wasn't anything else on, I might drift back and see what had happened. But yeah, for this one, I just changed the channel on.
Yeah.
So, but this time,
Kevin,
this time, Kevin, I'm forced to watch this thing all the way through. And these are things that I do for this show. I watched all of Warlock the Armageddon. Yeah. And I have thoughts.
All right. Were you going to say something, Dave, before I get
I was going to say the most likely point in time that anybody would turn this movie off is during the baseball
when the flying baseball thing happens.
Yeah. I tell you, it's funny because I was actually watching it this time, and my wife was in the room, and she was like, "All right, I'm going to bed. That was too much." Yeah,
that's where she drew the line.
Yeah, it really was. She's like, "Yeah, that movie's bad," but like,
not the birth scene at the beginning. She sat through that.
Yeah, well, she didn't watch the whole movie. She actually was in. She saw that part, and she's like, "That's disgusting." but she wasn't like out then. It was like she's like, "This is really dumb," Is but that's what she says to most movies I watch anyway. So you can't really take that as a type of judgment of anything. I do want to point out this here Blu-ray from the Vestron collection that has all three of them on it. It's not in 4K, but the Blu-ray does look really good, at least on the first two so far that I've seen.
It does look really good. Well, it's probably the best that the third one will ever look. So
I don't know. I mean, we'll see what happens. Vinegar Syndrome could throw out a Warlock 3 out of nowhere, but Lionsgate does own it though. So Lionsgate has been upgrading some of their stuff, like Ginger Snaps they put out on 4K recently.
Yeah, I'm not gonna joke. I would love to see a whole box of the Ginger Snaps movies. But
I saw this movie on Amazon Prime, and it cannot be the best version available because the picture quality did not look quite as good.
Interesting.
Yeah, the Blu-ray looks good. Obviously, the thing about this movie though, there's a lot of composite effects. This was on the cusp of CGI, so the CGI is there, but it doesn't look good unless they redo the CGI, which they're not going to do. Probably not, unless but unless they
economy.
Well, I mean, they could do it with AI, and it would, but the CGI effects don't look good. It doesn't matter what they do, with the quality of it. They're going to look bad unless they redo them.
Yeah,
I agree. Because when I saw this the year it came out, I was dying to see this movie at the theater, but I was not lucky enough to go see it at the theater. So I was waiting for it to come to video so I can see it on VHS when it originally came out. And at the time, in '93, I can say I absolutely love this film, and I probably would have said that for like the next decade because I watched, like we've discussed before, I watched the first two movies a lot when growing up. So I'd seen this movie a lot. But unfortunately for me, and I hate when this happens, is I don't see a movie for a very long time. And then I rewatch it for this show, and I wonder why. This is one of those films where when I rewatched it this week, I was wondering why I liked it. The first film we discussed has stood the test of time and is still a great movie. This one, and we're gonna get into the conversation. It was rough and it was hard to get through, even though it looks amazing, better than any other version I've ever seen since I've only seen it on VHS. This looked amazing on the Blu-ray from Vestron. It does not hold up well, and it's sad because I love Julian Sands and he does a good job in this movie. It's
He's in the zone.
Yeah.
He's in the zone. The director, the director Anthony Hickox. This is like his sixth horror movie, and I think he maybe made some kind of thrillers after this, but he had six horror movies in a row.
Yeah.
That like Waxwork, The Sundown, The Vampires in Retreat, Waxwork 2, Hellraiser 3, Full Eclipse, which doesn't have a good release at all right now.
Not yet, it does not.
But then this one, yeah, he did a bunch of other like he kept making movies after this, but this was like the last of his kind of famous horror movies that he made.
Yeah, it's like Wex. It's I don't know what it is, but like he seems to do better when he has total creative control of whatever it is he's doing. Like the Waxwork movies are fantastic. Waxwork 2 is his best movie, hands down, far and away. From that list you gave, I think Waxwork 2 stands the test of time. And I cannot wait till we talk about that movie. But
Hellraiser 3 is pretty good too. That actually has one of the actresses in it, like Paula Marshall.
You mentioned that, and and as I was watching the birthing scene, I was thinking to myself, "Oh, this is pure Hellraiser." And then I realized, "Oh yeah, he directed Hellraiser 3. That makes sense." Did he do that before this movie?
It was before, and he actually brings. The Paula Marshall is really good in Hellraiser 3. She's not very good in this. I'll get into why I don't think she's that good. I think she has some good scenes, but I think I have some like, especially the way that she holds her mouth.
And is she Sammy?
Yeah, yeah. She does it. Like, has her mouth like, it's like, can you close your mouth at all? You know,
well, it's not just it's not that she doesn't close her mouth. It's just like half the time. And I'm glad you said it because I wasn't gonna say it because I thought, are people gonna think I'm a jerk for criticizing this poor girl's lips? But no, apparently half the time. Well, it's more in the beginning of the movie than later on. But like half the time, it's either like she doesn't know how to close it. And when it's there, it's just like this constant look like she farted and she's that's
it. Yeah, that. But it's like it's the weirdest face. The dude, Chris Young, who's in Great Outdoors, which is I just watched that again recently, but that's a movie that I watched a lot. So I thought it was cool to see him in a horror movie, but he does a weird thing with his mouth
he was
too.
In that.
Yeah, he plays the older son in the Great Outdoors. He's also in PCU, and you ever see? There's a movie called The Runestone that he plays a supporting character. It ends up being an important part of the end of Killing the Monster.
I've not seen that.
Yeah,
he's got Andrew Goodenough in it.
Yeah, he did a lot of films like that when he was young. Yeah. And I was familiar when I looked them back up. I was like, "Oh, I've seen most of these films back in the day that he was in." I was like, "Oh, yeah." I kind of remember that. They kind of disappeared after I saw them, but I've seen them.
Yeah. When I saw it, I thought it was cool, really cool that an actor from The Great Outdoors was in a horror movie. But he does something real weird with his mouth too. Like he does half of his mouth like droops down a lot of the times, and it was weird.
Stallone.
I don't know what's going on with it. It was something like I may not have noticed, but my wife kept mentioning it, and I was like, "Well, you think that's bad? Look what this actress is doing right here in this scene for like 20 minutes." You know, it's like
I mean, like I think part of me wants to blame just the actors making bad choices, but really, in the end, we blame all this squarely on Anthony Hickox because he is the director, but. If you look at his direction in this movie and you look at the way he positions the camera, all the different cool things that he does, these setups, all these split dioptric shots that he does, some of them don't work. And I think he does the split dioptric thing a little too much. But
what did you say? Would you
split dioptric is where an object or a face is in the foreground and it's in focus, and then there's something else in the background that's also in focus. Like Citizen Kane was the first time that was started. Yeah,
right. Well, I got you. Yeah.
He called it deep focus, but really a split dioptric is basically they shoot the person close to the camera, and then they shoot and that's in focus, and then they shoot with a different lens the person or the thing and the object, whatever, in the background. And in post-production, they splice them together. And you always know that they're splicing it because if the person moves a little bit too far to the left, you can see the line, basically. You can see the fuzziness.
Yeah.
And
it gets worse. Yeah. It gets worse when you hire like, you know, we get into 4K and stuff like that. It's more noticeable when you do weird stuff like that.
Yeah. But like, I think really the blame kind of is really more, I think, on the script. I think if this movie had been much more well written, at least the same caliber as the first movie, I don't think any of those things we've mentioned would be nearly as bad. So I think, for better or worse, we can thank Mr. Kevin Rock and Mr. Sam Bernard, who are taking over the reins from the great David Twee, who wrote the first movie. These guys, I had never heard of them, so I decided to look them up. Kevin Rock, apparently, last thing he's credited was episodes on the series Perversions of Science, which was an anthology series that was supposed to be HBO's answer, heir apparent to Tales from the Crypt.
Yeah.
It didn't work, but it's got one or two really good episodes. Like there's one where Reanimator Jeffrey Combs, where Jeffrey Combs is like this alien character who turns out to be Hitler at the end. And then there's one with alternate realities with Brian James in it. That's really, really, really fun. Really cool.
Now, as far as like, I don't want to, but I don't want to say I agree the writings has some. I mean, there's some good things about the writing too, and I think that had he continued to write, his writing would have gotten better. But I think it's not even the way that it's written, like as far as the dialogue and stuff. It's not necessarily that. I think it's the maybe the format of the script in a way.
Well, I mean, Kevin Rock also. It's funny too, is he was also known for that Fantastic Four that never got finished. You know that
Roger Corman.
Yeah, and Philadelphia Experiment 2. Which I kind of like that movie actually, but like Sam Bernard is the other guy. Now Sam Bernard, he's got some horror bona fides.
Also the first guy though, Howling like 6, The Freaks. Yeah, that one that has Bruce Payne in it as well.
Yeah. Well, Sam Bernard, he wrote Blood Surf, which is a crocodile movie in the 2000. Also some fantastic classics like The Granny, 1995. A venerable killer granny movie. Before this, he wrote some episodes of Matlock. Oh, and he wrote Rad. The Spike movie. Send Me an Angel. That freaking movie.
I've got like more copies of Rad than I should. I keep upgrading it, but that's
Steelbook of Rad, dude.
Yeah, I got a steal. They've actually got a new one from Umbrella Entertainment. That's like I didn't get that one. I was tempted. Very thick. It's like 2 inches thick. Like, it's just like a badass release of it. But I do want to say that Kevin Rock is, if you look on Wikipedia, he's the only one credited. If you look on IMDb, there's 3 of them. Like you said, the one guy's credited just I think with the original idea. But the second guy, the second guy you're talking about, my assumption from that would be that he'd maybe uncredited. He may not have been the main writer. I think Kevin Rock wrote this out and somebody else may have been brought in to tweak some stuff.
I think that's what happened because I did see, I don't know how, don't ask me, I remember this and I do not remember from whom I heard it from, but it was a legit source from like a screenwriter I met. But he said that in a movie, if next time you're watching, ladies and gentlemen, if you see a writer and you see another writer credited with this movie, if there's an ampersand between those two names, those two guys or girls or whatever worked as a team to write this motion picture.
That's correct.
But if you see two names just flash together, or two names flash together and an A and D, the word and, those two guys probably never met.
Yeah,
and I think this is separate. Yeah, they worked on it separately. So I think that's what happened. I think Kevin Rock or Sam Bernard, whichever one worked on it first, did a draft, turned it in. The studio or Hickox or somebody either didn't like it or thought it needed work, brought on the other guy, rewrote it, and that's what happened.
Yeah, I concur with that. That's the most likely thing. I bet you Anthony Hickox probably had something to do with tweaking it while they were going too, since he was doing his own stuff before this.
Yeah, I got a feeling. Yeah, I mean, nowadays, like most of the time, when you're a writer director, like Hickox usually is. Most of the time, they will, no matter how many times it's been rewritten, they will take it, do their own rewrite on it, their own pass, and get sole screenwriting credit. Whereas these other two guys might get story by or something like that. I know that happened on the first Avengers movie. Somebody else wrote that, and then Joss Whedon rewrote the whole thing and took full credit, whereas the original guy got story by credit. So
no, I do want to say this kind of sucks, but Hickox. did die in 2023, so a few
I
years
know.
back.
Yeah, I
I
remember
think we
that.
mentioned that when we talked about Waxwork, but I guess I'll throw it out there again. It's
Yeah.
a bummer, but
It is a bummer
and
because I feel like he should have had more of a career, a second. He could
yeah,
have had a second career if he
could
just
have had a
stepped
third
to it.
career.
Yeah,
Yeah,
man.
Well,
yeah, he needed a renaissance because he was I think he's only in his 60s. He had a few more
yeah.
movies left in him. That was a little too early.
But
Yeah.
while you were mentioning him, I do want to add in because I thought this was fun trivia. That because of Waxwork, and we mentioned Waxwork several times. That Zach Galligan, who was in Waxwork, also makes a
Yeah,
cameo in this film, and which I forgot he did
yeah.
that cameo, and I was like just laughing my ass off because we
Dude,
just done Waxwork earlier this year, and and then this one, and then we've been talking about the director
Yeah.
between these movies, and it was like and we're
So,
yeah.
but
dude,
the,
you jumped on me because I was gonna mention that like a jump scare in a movie when we got to that scene, and I've been like, oh my gosh, I laughed and
Yes,
screamed
I
so
laughed.
hard when I saw him, and I'm like, oh, this is delightful.
Yeah, same here.
what's funny is like the director Anthony Hickox has a director's commentary on the Vesteron collection, and he talks about that scene. I think he said it was sort of like something that Zach Galligan was in town to hang out with him for some reason because he's friends with him, and he's like, hey, talk to him and come out and doing that scene. Yeah,
Oh, that sounds like something Zach
yeah,
would do.
Yeah,
I actually, for those of you, ladies and gentlemen out there who haven't listened to every episode I'm in which I understand, because you wouldn't want to listen to me every day of your life unless you're related to me. By the way, hi, mom and dad, if you're listening. Uh, but yeah, I did meet Zach at a screening of Gremlins years ago and got to make a picture with him and talk to him a little bit, and that totally tracks. It sounds like something he would do. And
yeah.
yeah, I mean, and it's also such an easy thing to just pop in. Like he's literally in a doorway, has like one line of dialogue with an actor that I don't even think they share a shot together. Like Julian Sands might not have even been in the room when that
Yeah.
was. I mean, that might not have been his hand that comes on Zach's hand. It might have been a fake shemp, you know.
Yeah, probably.
But when I saw that, I screamed like, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe it!" And you know what's funny too is when you go on the IMDb for this movie, his character is credited as Douglas,
Hmm.
which is his name of his character in the Waxwork movies.
Wow.
So there is a super dark version of this if you believe that they're set in the same universe as the Waxwork movies. That maybe this is the final fate of Douglas from the Waxwork movies.
oh, Jesus.
What's funny is like the character that he's going out on a date with, she does mention somebody's coming, so I'm like thinking, who's this character going to be? And when someone does really show up, it's like I'd almost forgotten that somebody was supposed to show up at that point. It's like,
Yeah. And he took forever to get there too. Now that I think about it,
yeah,
because like she was dead for a while. You know,
yeah.
and like he could have this whole like birthing thing / chase scene / the bathroom exploding / her getting killed because he has to drag her out of the where also
Yeah.
and we're getting ahead of ourselves here a little bit, but like also when you cut back to like when the warlock emerges from betwixt her nethers and reforms from the primordial sludge that he is, he's all covered in goo and everything, but when you come back he's still stark naked as the minute he was born, like 15 minutes or whatever ago. But he's clean now, and he's got his hands in her head and communicating with his devil master. But like, it's like he killed her and then took a shower.
It was pretty nasty though, all that stuff. He was all black and all that. It was pretty gross.
It was
Yeah.
disgusting.
Yeah, I'm sure he may have taken a shower, but he damn destroyed the bathroom and got glass all in the damn bathroom.
Yeah, he destroyed the bathroom in a very different way than you might think of when someone says,
Yeah,
"I
yeah.
destroyed that bathroom."
Yeah.
But yeah, like I think like what I was gonna say, like part of the reason why I think this script doesn't work when the first one did, and you're gonna notice this as we talk about the plot, is that part of the thing that made the first one work so well is, and this is something I think we're going to talk about more, is the idea of sequels and the idea of sequel / remakes, which is what this is. Because spoilers, this is, I know Kevin said this at the end of the first Warlock, but and I didn't believe him. But now that I rewatched this movie, Kevin, I 100% agree with you. This is not the same Warlock. This is a sequel / reboot. in the tradition. I hate that phrase. In the tradition of Evil Dead 2, which did the same thing. But why did that work and this didn't? And I think part of the problem is that if you're doing a sequel / reboot, you have to keep from the first one what worked about the first one. And I think that Sam and Kevin, if you guys are out there, whatever your last names are, sorry, I forgot. But like they, I think, completely misunderstood what worked about the first movie. They thought, oh, let's have a road trip as our middle act. But the problem is that, yes, they had that in the first movie. But in that movie, your two main characters, your Richard E. Grant and your Laurie Singer, are road tripping in the same direction as your villain. And they get to cross paths at several points. And they get to have action sequences with the Warlock at several points, whilst he is also killing people along the way. So, so then you get to have them interact. You get to develop their relationship. Whereas in this movie, the Warlock he is born, quote unquote, in New York or close to it, and then road trips across country to San Bernardino, California, where our heroes are, and they never move. They never get out of there. They're just waiting for him to show up.
Yeah.
So he spends the entire movie not fighting our main characters. The main characters don't fight him until the last 15, 20 minutes of the movie. So
that's the
problem.
That's the problem with the pacing. It makes sense that because the main characters do have some business that they're doing because they're kind of like some Jedi stuff going on, like where they find out that they got powers and they're trying to train to figure out how to use them, so they're not ready to fight him yet. But and the Warlock has some business too because he's got to collect all these rune stones, so he has to go to each rune stone and kill the person that has it. And so, I mean, the Warlock scenes are more entertaining than the other stuff.
They are.
Because Julian Sands is a much more charismatic actor than literally anybody on the other side of the cast, unfortunately.
Yeah. And there's a lot of character actors in this movie.
He possibly could be the same Warlock. He never says that he's not. Julian Sands in an interview was implying that he is, but of course he would do that. An interview he shot at the same time he was making it, but it's never said that he's not. Because the same Warlock could have been recreated, just because you only see him for the first time in this movie. Like, was it 12 minutes in when he's birthed? Because there is an extended scene at the beginning that we don't see a Warlock in it at all, that takes place back in medieval times or something.
Oh yeah, the opening gambit of this is like some kind of druid ritual that gets interrupted. So it's like they have this pregnant girl who's got white eyes like Evil Dead.
Yeah, it's cool
she's
looking.
A Deadite.
Let me point out something before you continue. I will want to point out something real bad about that opening sequence. That it's the credits are going, and every 2 seconds it pauses.
Yeah,
it says a name, and it's like, just show the scene.
I hate that too.
Don't do that, But
I made it. You're right. Yeah. I was gonna mention that. Don't worry. I totally wasn't, because I hated that too. I freaking hated it. And not only do they pause the scene and have the credits, there's this weird like texture over the scene that makes zero sense. It doesn't mean anything. It's just there.
Yeah.
And it pissed me off too. I get it. Yeah, totally.
Looks like they're going to try to frame. They're going to try to frame the still frames. Right, man, this is a good still frame. Look at that shot. The weird thing is, it's a cool scene, and then they screw up the pacing of it by pausing it every 3 seconds.
They do. Yeah, I get the feeling that might have been a studio note thing. I feel like there might have been, because they mention almost every bit of this scene in dialogue later. So I feel like this might not have been the original opening. I feel like this might have been a late addition. But anyway, so yeah, you're right. So there's this ritual going on. There's some weird stuff going on. It looks like it's vaguely the Middle Ages.
Yeah.
But it can't really be, and we'll get into why that is. So like these guys in robes are doing this weird magic thing. And it's magic because as soon as they do something onto the pregnant lady, some like twister of light goes up into the air. And then comes in these knights who I want to say that this basically turns to be some kind of reenactment of the Crusades or something, but they come in and kill all the guys. We find out later they're druids.
Yeah.
And they stop the ritual, but they got these stones, and on the girl there's this lavender-looking circular stone called the birthstone. It's the only one of the stones that gets a name.
Yeah.
I'm sure all the other stones in this movie have names and stuff. It would have been nice to know what they are. It would have been nice if they gave the Warlock different powers, kind of like the pages in the first movie. But nope, we don't get any of that information.
Well,
I feel like a lot of this movie's cut though, because even the director's like, there's a lot of scenes with these old dudes standing around talking, and the director's like, this is a very long scene, so I cut it down to like 30 seconds.
I think you're right. Yeah. But they kill the druids and snatch the stones except for two, the birthstone and one other. And apparently the ritual is unfinished. And they say the birth of... They didn't stop the son of Satan from being born. They said his birth is still to come. And then cut to modern day, from the shot of the moon to modern day New York. Problem is that these are druids, and they make the druids in this movie seem like weird kind of Jedi people who live in rural America and live like rural people, but they have like secret basements with a tree growing through it and have potions and stuff and magic rituals. But they're just good old, folks who also go to church just like you and me. But they're also prejudiced by the townspeople who call them Satan worshipers. Yeah. It's that part of it I actually kind of liked. I like the idea of this like prejudicial subplot going on with the townspeople. I thought that was really neat, but they don't develop it enough. But the problem is that, and this is a thing that a lot of horror and fantasy movies do, is they like to use the druids. Yeah. And the problem is like, ladies and gentlemen, these people can't possibly be druids who get killed at the beginning, because the druids weren't around in the 13th century to get killed by knights. The druids died when the Romans slaughtered them. And the problem is that we don't really know very much about the druids, because the druids didn't write down anything. They weren't a literate culture. They passed everything orally, just like a lot of ancient cultures did. But when the Romans killed them, we don't have anything left. So I was going to say, like, anyone who tries to convince you that they know anything about what the druids, or like what Samhain means and all that, and that they built the Stonehenge, that's just a theory. We don't know that they actually built Stonehenge. It's just a theory because we don't know anything about the druids.
Yeah, but but it doesn't matter, because this is like a fictional horror film.
I know, but it's a lot.
But from what you said though, if what you said is true, but at the same time, if what the druids passed down was not ever told, if people still knew it and just weren't saying anything, they could theoretically still know the druid information, just not be releasing it. Unlikely, but in this scenario, that you could explain it with that. I do want to say two other things about that opening scene. There's one of the guys on the horseback, the knights, the main dude comes off and he looks hilarious. He's wearing like a long blonde wig, and he walks up and he kills the girl on the table who was possessed before. Yeah, which is really messed up. But you know who that actor was? No,
the guy, the knight, or the girl?
The dude with the blonde hair that looked like he just like has this hilarious blonde hair, and he walks up and kills the girl. He's the director.
Oh, that's Anthony Hitchcock.
Yeah, He actually doesn't look too bad on screen, but his wig's hilarious.
Oh wow, he's like my one part of this movie. I want to shoot some pregnant girl in the eye with an arrow. Yeah,
but he says, I don't know why I did that. And that wig looks awful, but I thought it was great though. I thought it was funny that was him. He kind of reminded me of that Prince Humperdinck or something like that.
Oh yeah,
or
I can see that.
The prince from Spaceballs, maybe. The
prince from Spaceballs.
Yeah. That dude. Yeah, but it was funny. Or maybe that the prince from Shrek. But it's
Lord Farquaad.
Yeah, that dude. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I shouldn't make fun of Anthony Hitchcock too much, because like I think sometimes directors have weird writing or acting aspirations. Like myself personally, if I ever got to make a feature film that's set in the Middle Ages, one of my my only dream part as an actor is I want to play a guard in a medieval movie where like the main character comes up and gives me instructions, and then I say with a perfect English accent, "Yes, my lord." That's it. That's all I want to do. Is say that line.
Yeah.
Dave, you have the most experience directing yourself. I've only done it once, and I thank God it was just for one part, and I was gone and done. I don't like.
Oh yeah, I love acting though.
Yeah,
so I have a lot of experience doing it already. But yeah, I don't mind directing myself. It's actually sometimes it's easier than directing other actors. So I'll do whatever I want myself to do.
There you go. Yeah, I've often wondered how that works. Because I know I've seen like guys I've seen like documentaries where like Clint Eastwood and Mel Gibson and Robert Duvall do that, and I'm like, so like it's so weird. I know Clint Eastwood like is present in the scene, but he's also sometimes directing the camera. Like in Bridges of Madison County, he's got like a love scene with Meryl Streep, but he's also got his hand going, like telling the camera guy to come closer while he's kissing her and stuff like that. But like I can't imagine doing that, especially if you have all this dialogue to memorize. Like Kenneth Branagh, I mean he's not that great a guy, but dadgummit, I admire his Hamlet because like he's got all that dialogue, he's given a fantastic performance, and all the moving parts of this freaking movie are happening all around him. I don't know how. I know the assistant director like moves the camera and stuff sometimes when in that kind of situation, but like, dude, wow, I don't know how.
Branagh crushed it in Hamlet. He's awesome in that, but he it's like. What the thing is, if you're playing that character, even like what I've noticed when you're playing something, you're in it a lot like that. The other actors kind of feed off of what you're doing, so it makes it sometimes it makes it easier. So I mean, sometimes maybe not, as long as the actors are in tune with each other. But sometimes they'll feed off of whatever you're doing, and they'll just come, they'll just try to match it or whatever, But it's assistant director, I mean, usually the DP's going to do the camera stuff. Assistant director, depending on assistant director usually doesn't direct anything. They usually are moving things along.
Yeah.
It depends, it may be sometimes a director may have an assistant or somebody that he trusts to help out. But Kenneth Branagh's been doing this shit forever, though. He did that Henry V. There's a whole bunch of movies where he's just the main character. By the time he got to Hamlet, it was probably like second nature for him. He probably had no problem with any of it,
Yeah.
I would just be, I would just be like ticked off all the time because I would be like, God forbid I'm the lead in a movie that I'm directing, because I would be like doing my scene, then going over to Video Village, seeing how terrible I was, and then being like, okay, we need to do that again. But like, I feel like that would double production time because then I have to go. Whereas if I'm just directing, you're just looking at the monitor. And then you can just go up to the person and say, that sucked, do it again, but faster. Yeah. And that takes less time than to watch it again.
Well, it's a good thing that Hitchcock is only in that one little scene and we don't.
Thank God, yes.
But but he actually did okay at it. I'm glad that he did it. I wouldn't mind even seeing him more, even though that character was a bit of a shithead.
Yeah. That's what you play sometimes when you're in your own movie. You play the bad guy.
And one other line I want to put this out just because it mentions the title, and it was just kind of funny. With the eye patch dude who's dying that he has all information, he's like, "We have failed in our duty, the Armageddon." It's like, oh, he said the name of the title.
Yeah, that's so funny too. Like how the Armageddon. That's just, it's so awkward. If you actually know what it means, that's grammatically false. You can't say, because Armageddon is a place. It's the Valley of Megiddo, which is a real place in Israel.
He's talking about the movie with Bruce Willis and Ben Affleck. Oh, clearly. You can call that the Armageddon.
Yeah, Armageddon. That's a popular misconception, my friend. That is a popular misconception. It's actually the Valley of Megiddo, where the armies of the earth, led by Satan, assault Jerusalem or assault Israel, and King Jesus is in the final battle. And that's where it takes place. That's why they call it Armageddon. But that has nothing to do with Warlocks or Bruce Willis.
For some reason, for some reason, I kind of thought it was the same thing as the apocalypse. I didn't actually look it up, but it's funny. It means something different. It sounds cool.
It's
Armageddon.
As part of the apocalypse. Actually, even that's well, no, that's true. It is part of the apocalypse because the word apocalypse is actually the title of the book of Revelation. The full title of the book of Revelation in the Bible, the last book of the Bible, is the Apocalypse of Saint John, the Revelation of Jesus Christ. That's the full title. That's why in Catholic Bibles it might be called Apocalypse, not Revelation. But yeah, the word apocalypse just means something revealed. Something that was hidden is now revealed. So really, there's so any of these catch-all words that we use to describe the end of the world, neither of them really mean the end of the world in and of themselves. We don't really have a word for that. It's kind of weird.
I think society has we've changed what the words mean because they sound cool.
Yeah,
Words
don't forget, meanings for words change over time depending on the way they are used by the culture and society. They don't always remain one version of that. Plus, the way the word is used by other different cultures also should be goes into the meaning of those words too. So
that's true. That's true. You're right. I hate that, but it's true.
I do want to getting back to the movie.
This is getting back to the movie, but I do want to kind of like with Hamlet and Kenneth Branagh, we go into a Shakespeare play.
Yeah,
Romeo and Juliet.
Yeah, it took me a while to figure out what it was, but yeah.
And then one of the Romeos got a mullet.
That's right.
Andy.
And actually, like Paula Marshall as Samantha here does probably her best performance in the whole movie, was playing Juliet in the play.
Oh my gosh, are you saying that she's better at acting when she's acting in that scene as an actor?
Yeah. I thought so. I thought she's like, and she has that like croissant. Croissant. She was wearing a croissant, a corset.
She's wearing a croissant.
She had a croissant on, and it was delicious. But she.
Oh my God, guys. Oh my God. We have to stop picking on Paula Marshall because I had a crush.
I'm not picking on her. I thought she was
I had a crush on Paula Marshall for these like 3 or 4 years where she seemed to be popping up in all these horror movies.
I got some positive stuff to say about her later in the film, but I also have to make fun of her some more before we get there.
You're so mean. But yeah, you're right. That's what I was saying. Actually, I did make a note of this performance in this community theater rendition of Romeo and Juliet. And by the way, to be fair, what we're seeing is a rehearsal, not the actual play, which is never actually performed because by the time 4 days later, they got bigger things to do. But it's
the show must go on. I don't understand.
The show must go on.
Even if Armageddon apocalypse is here, the show must go on.
Yeah, right. But like, this is a community theater version of Romeo and Juliet, and I did make a note here because I noticed that the acting here is only slightly worse than some of the stuff we saw in the opening and later on in the movie.
Because the way that scene starts too, which they do this twice in the film, once with a real moon. This is a fake moon that's on the stage, but in the Druid times, he looks up into the sky, and then it cuts to a moon, and it's on the stage, and then it pans over, and it's like, holy moly, it's a play rehearsal thing.
Dun, dun, dun. Oh yeah, and you forgot to mention that this movie has a title card with like a thing that shows us the world. It says, throughout time, people known as Druids have used their mystical powers to protect the earth from evil. Once every millennium, when the sun aligns with the moon, these guardians summon the magic of their sacred runestones in the quest to prevent the birth of Satan's son. ... Which, by the way, kind of contradicts what we hear later, because way later on, when the father's giving his son the lowdown about this whole plot, he says it's pretty much every 600 to 800 years, Satan gets a chance to come up to the earth, and that's what they're trying to prevent. So this one says every millennium, so the math's a little off. But
I feel like when they put those in front of films, they used to do it like in some of the Hammer films have those on there, but like it's just like a big information dump of stuff that people don't read. Yeah. It's like, why is it there? And it doesn't, like you said, like even if they do read it, they're like, this doesn't make sense because they see something different later in the film that contradicts what that opening said, I mean, how does that make it better to have
It
that?
doesn't. And you know what? Now that I think about it, it was probably also a studio note.
Yeah. They're like, you got to put like an explanation at the front of this about why this movie exists. There has to be a reason.
There's a lot of exposition at the very beginning to kind of give people an idea of what type of druid story they're walking into. I'm only assuming that there's just wasn't a whole bunch of talk about druids in this time period, unless we're talking about in terms of filmmaking. That
all you got to do is mention druids once, and people are leaving the theater.
Yeah, you know, that was the curse of Halloween 3: Season of the Witch.
Oh yeah, that's right. I guess druids really are box office poison.
Yeah. I love Halloween 3, but also the druids are back in Halloween 6.
Yeah,
as well.
So,
yeah,
but this does have many Stonehenges in it too, like little cute little mini Stonehenges.
Yeah, it's like the whole climax of this movie takes place in a Stonehenge in the middle of Santa Barbara, California, which, by the way, if there was a Stonehenge in Santa Barbara, people would be flocking to it.
Oh, like they would have graffiti on them like something you wouldn't.
Oh, yeah. Kenny's family, our main character, Kenny's family would be like making that a tourist destination. You know they would.
Yeah, his name is Kenny Travis. Like the play director calls him Travis at first, but then everyone else calls him Kenny. The play director looked damn familiar to me, but
he is. He's in a lot of other stuff. I can't remember his name.
Yeah.
I couldn't it almost. I feel like he's that guy in Arachnophobia who's in the opening sequence.
The opening scene, he is.
Yeah, because Julian Sands is also in Arachnophobia too.
That's right. Yep, he dies early in that movie because otherwise he'd be late to this movie.
Yeah, but he has a pretty. And the opening Arachnophobia is in it a pretty good bit until he dies. He seems like he's the main character at first until he's not.
Yeah.
Which is a pretty cool way to start the film, I thought.
Yeah, and apparently Kenny Travis, first name, last name sounds like a first name, and that confused me. That's why I said in my note, I says, enter Travis, the light guy, who sucks at his job, because one of the lights blows up.
Yeah. Well, what happens because Paula and mullet dude Andy are kissing on stage because of Romeo and Juliet, I guess you have to do. But then he like knocks over the light because he's a big spaz, and then Andy's like, I can't work under these conditions. Like any actor would fucking say that and just walk off in a school play. I can't do this.
Yeah. Such a cliche.
Well, keep in mind that back then people weren't so technically savvy with the arts like they are now, because we have all this behind the scenes knowledge that just didn't exist because we didn't have the internet. Everybody knows behind the scenes shit now. We look at this stuff now like, oh my God, this is so horrible.
Well, I mean,
come on, Kevin. I can't work under these conditions was a cliche in 1992.
It's like it is a cliche, and it's like somebody, either the screenwriter or the director had at some point been involved with a play, and I guess it could happen, but I've never seen that happen. If someone was like, I can't work under this conditions and left like that, it would be like, holy fuck, we got to recast.
It would be, it would be kind of neat if we actually did some research and actually went to figure out where does that line emerge? Like, who said it first?
I can't. Yeah,
it'd be weird.
It's goofy though. Yeah, I mean, clearly people like, especially big stars, have done things like that. They will, like, if you walk off.
Yeah, like I wonder if it started on like the old Hollywood days where some starlet like said that and it stormed off and became this like legend, or if it was in like some movie about movies like Sullivan's Travels or something, or Sunset Boulevard. I don't know. Hey guys, if you're out there in YouTube land, sign off in the comments if you know the answer to this question.
So, and then there's an unanswered question that I'm sure everybody's been real concerned about. The play director asked Travis, they need to see him aside. He's got something to talk to him about, and we never found out what it is.
Oh crap! That's right. What? Oh, yeah. You know what? You're right. There must be like an hour's worth of footage of this movie that was cut.
Yeah, I noticed that too when I rewatched it. I never noticed it until this rewatch. I'm like, Well, they don't really have a conversation after this. So
Yeah, I mean, it's like there's nothing else with the play again. I mean, obviously, I think it's like it's funny because he's gonna fire the light dude. You can't fire the light guy because you need him. You know,
Yeah.
it's like it's like what the director gonna go do the lights himself now? You
yeah.
know, I mean, it would be you know.
Well, he's also in high school, so they're volunteering as well.
Yeah,
So
Oh
I
no,
mean,
he's not in high school. He's getting ready to go to college. That's
yeah,
the whole point. Is that because
yeah,
later on, him and
it-
Sammy have this big thing. Which, by the way, I was struck by the fact that they are in fact dating
right,
and they are
yeah.
together. Because I thought from the beginning when he's like seeing him and her and Andy, the mulleted bully, almost kiss on this stage, I thought we were going to get a kind of Spider-Man in Tobey Maguire Spider-Man thing where like he's pining for this girl and the bully is like with her. But nope, that's not
Yeah.
what we have at all.
It was.
They're
I mean,
together.
they've actually do some interesting things with a script like that because that is something that they do well with a script because you don't know that they're a couple when they are suddenly are they kiss out of nowhere and they are a couple this whole time and they've been hiding it from the audience. That's a cool reveal. It's also an interesting reveal where his dad shows up on the road and he's watching and you think he's some kind of weird wizard dude that he doesn't know who he is yet, and then it turns out he's his dad later. But they do that twice with the dad and with the girlfriend, where you don't, and that's a way to help. It's a way to help make the things that are a little bit more mundane more interesting when they pop up like that.
Yeah, and sometimes it can just confuse the audience. Like when his dad is revealed, I was a little confused because he comes up out of the shadows and then sees his son get bullied by Andy and his cronies, and Andy's truck is shining a bright light on him, and that truck ends up being super important to the plot
Yep.
in ways I did not expect.
In ways
But, like-
yeah, I still don't get that, but then we'll talk
But
about
yeah.
that later.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but he comes up, and he's like, and you're like, hey, you Satanist worshiper. Oh, you like comic books too? And I thought, oh, that's cool. They made him a comic book nerd. I'll bet that pays off. It doesn't.
Yeah, no.
But no, so
No.
they almost beat him up, and then his dad, it implies, is using his druid powers to
Turn
what do
the
you do?
sprinklers.
You turn
There's
on the
this-
sprinklers.
Yeah,
of
yeah,
course.
got their because their truck was parked on top of the sprinklers for some reason, and then it gets the inside of their truck wet. And they're like, "Oh my God, my truck!" And then they have to stop and beating him up, and then they go and get in the truck, and they have to like get the truck out of there. So he's good to go after that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then like and then Kenny just runs off laughing and doesn't notice his dad there, and his dad doesn't go and talk to his son about anything. He just walks off, and then he's walking alone down a creepy abandoned street that totally looks real and not a movie set.
Yeah.
But yeah, and
I was
then
convinced myself. That's what my like town street looks like. Is
I'll bet it does.
yeah. I
I'll
walk
bet
down.
you-
I walk down there at midnight too, and it's just the same thing, man.
Same stuff.
Weird wind, like lightning, and just things start blowing around.
Yeah, there's this big old tree that
Yeah.
gets struck by lightning, and
Yeah,
then,
in the middle of the road, you know,
in the middle of the road, which is weird. But anyway,
really the middle of the sidewalk. But yes,
Yeah.
old dead tree from the Druid time, I would assume.
oh Jesus,
yes, from the ancient druids of San Bernardino who passed down their their wisdom from the time before Columbus. Anyway, so the wind blows the sawdust from the tree, which I'm pretty sure that's not what would happen if a lightning hit a tree. It would not like open a tree up and sawdust would come out. That's kind of weird. But
This
anyway,
is not a normal situation. We're dealing
no,
with
it's-
Druid. This is Druid shit we're talking about here.
clearly.
It's
And when the sawdust blows away, some sawdust stays and creates this B,
Yeah.
this letter B, and it
It's a
looks very
symbol.
much like very much like the sort of thing that y'all '90s kids probably doodled in your binders and your notebooks in middle school when you were bored.
You say jagged edges. What does it mean? Did you look it up? Because that's a
It doesn't.
sign.
It doesn't mean anything. You know what it is? It's like it looks like a bastardization of Viking runes. Actually, it could very well be the symbol that they use for Bluetooth.
Oh, yeah. That's
That's
what
a
it means,
Viking.
Bluetooth.
That's actually a Viking rune
Yeah.
that refers to a Viking king whose name was Bluetooth.
Huh.
He had a Bluetooth. That was his whole thing. I'm not making this up. That's
Yeah,
literally
no,
what it
and I
means.
believe it. I mean, I want to back up real quick.
Okay.
The Samantha, her dad comes and picks her up, who's a reverend. That actor, Bruce Glover, he was in a bunch of stuff. Like he was in Diamonds Are Forever in Chinatown.
Was he the Reverend who beat up Jeff
Yeah,
Fahey and the Lawnmower Man?
I don't know about that one, but
I
I
don't
was
think he
yeah.
was.
Now, he was a reverend in a movie like 2 years later called Night of the Scarecrow.
Oh yeah.
And he gets killed again in that movie too. Yeah, I think he gets his lips sewn together in Night of the Scarecrow.
Oh,
But
well, so I guess he got typecast from this movie, huh?
yeah, I think so. He does a pretty good job playing a reverend. I kind of believed it. And I believed it even more when he does Night of the Scarecrow. He shows up with that collar on. I was like, Reverend, right away.
I gotcha. Yeah, I mean, we talked a bit about the similar character in Warlock, in the first Warlock movie. At the end, we were like debating about what the heck denomination he was. This movie makes it very clear this dude's a Methodist because you see it right on his church.
They call him Reverend too in the dialogue. So
Yeah, because that's the only denomination of Christian clergy who are allowed to marry and have. Well, that's actually not true. They're one of the only ones. If you're a Methodist reverend, you can marry and have kids, but you can also do that if you're an Orthodox Russian or Greek Orthodox priest as well. But
there's a movie called Die Hard Dracula where he plays Van Helsing in it.
Die Hard Dracula.
Yeah. And I got a copy of it one time. I bought this. It was funny. It was like a promo copy of it where you had to buy something else to get it for free, and it came with it, and it's pretty rough. But he's for top building. He plays Van Helsing in it. So.
Where can I see this movie? It sounds amazing.
I got it on DVD somewhere. I mean, I don't know. It's
Please
been a long
tell
time.
me it's streaming somewhere.
It probably is, but it's called Die Hard Dracula. He's also in Popcorn as well. That movie. Popcorn.
There it is, 1998.
I love Popcorn.
Die Hard Dracula. It's not available to stream. Oh man. It's got a 1.8 star rating.
It's rough. It's real rough, but it's funny the way it was funny the way I ended up getting it too, because it was like one of those on eBay where it was like oh, we can buy this, and we have a promotional disc of Die Hard Dracula you get with it, So
oh man, it looks amazing.
Oh my god. All right.
Now everybody who's listening to this is gonna go look up Die Hard Dracula while we rant on for the next hour about this.
Well, no, we're not gonna rant on for the next hour about the Die Hard Dracula or Glover's role in that movie, Bruce Glover's role in that movie.
But anyway, we're talking about the tree thing.
Yeah, the tree thing, and we're close to going into the best scene of the film that we've already addressed a little bit.
Oh yes, the birth of Warlock. Because the bee, that little stupid bee with jagged lines, is the sign of his birth. And the dad who knows it. But by the way, I'm probably going to call him this every now and then because I do not remember the dad's name in this movie. But that particular actor, whose name I also don't remember, I know he's been in many things. I know he was in, I think he was in Lethal Weapon as well.
Yeah, he plays like the police chief in Lethal Weapon.
He's their captain. Yeah, he's their captain in Lethal Weapon.
Yeah.
But I don't know why. But for some reason, when I first saw him in Lethal Weapon, that was the first thing I saw him in, I thought he was Richard Donner. I thought he was the director, Richard Donner, acting in his movie. And I thought every time I saw this actor in another movie, I thought that was Richard Donner, director of Lethal Weapon and The Omen. And I thought that was him.
Yeah, it does. He does kind of come off like he's not. He's got like a really pretty good screen presence, but he does kind of come off like that, like he's a director or a filmmaker. I do have the information, just so we throw it out there. We'll call him whatever hilarious name you want to call him. But his name is Steve Kahn, and the character's name is Will Travis, which isn't really said in the movie. His name, he's the main character's Kenny's father is really what he is. But we want to call him like Richard Donner or something like that.
Let's call him Donner Dad. I like that.
Donner Dad.
So Donner Dad's concerned because he knows the end is near. And meanwhile, in New York, some attractive lady we barely see her face of. Yeah. We see a little bit more of her body than her face.
Yeah, she does. She is attractive. Apparently, the name's Amanda from the subtitles. it says Amanda, and the actress's name's Dawn Ann Billings. So
Dawn Ann Billings. She's getting ready for a date, like we mentioned, and she's like really excited to meet this guy. Now that we know it's Zach Galligan, I get it, because he's a handsome dude and super funny and smart.
And his suit looks really nice. So nice that the wardrobe. I mean, the Warlock actually takes it for his wardrobe for the rest of the
He's
film.
like black, But that's, again, I do think, like we mentioned, when that happens, of course, it made me think, oh wow, the first Warlock was basically just Terminator as a horror action movie. This movie, I wrote down somewhere else what this basically is, but it's still kind of Terminator, because now there's no time travel in this movie. Instead, we just have a being who apparently is, quote, by his own admission, older than these rocks, older than the trees. So that's another thing that makes me think that he's not the same Warlock, but because they never say that he was born in that village that Richard Grant catches him, but they imply that he is a human.
Yeah.
Probably a son of Satan, but he was born in that time. So unless his soul is getting reincarnated through the years or something, I don't think it's quite the same character. But yeah, again, sequel/remake, I agree with you. That's what this is. But in this one, it's the moon thing happens, and the girl looks out the window, and woo, the moon is 10 times bigger than it usually is. And then a big old eclipse happens, and the lunar eclipse, she goes, oh, and then a big old belly comes up. And if y'all, and those few people out there who've seen Extra, the movie that with the alien movie, will probably tell you what to expect when a woman who is not pregnant all of a sudden gets a huge belly. You can be fairly certain that a fully grown man is going to come out of that uterus in one way or another. Except first he has to come out as a squelching, slithery kind of piece of viscera or something that just undulates and grows. And but the thing
it's kind of looking a little bit like The Thing or something, which there is an actor from The Thing in this movie too. We'll see here. We'll talk about here in a minute. But,
oh wow, yeah, I didn't notice that. But yeah, like so then he's pulsating and undulating, and she's still alive, seeing this happen, and doesn't run out of the house for reasons. But like this poor little dog.
She just had she just had this thing come out of her. I think she's a little incapacitated. Plus the dog, So I mean, you got to save the dog.
Comes over to lick it, and she's like, "No, don't lick it." And I'm saying the same thing. I'm like, "Oh no, please don't!" And he does, and it's so gross. And then the dog gets basically killed by this undulating mass.
Yeah,
and then he comes and forms and becomes naked Julian Sands. And he's like, "Mommy," and of course she runs off, gets into the bathroom. And man, if only we had cell phones back then, she could have easily just called the police or called a paramedic.
It wouldn't have done any good, though. I mean, she was screwed. But the thing is, I mean, she should have embraced him more. If he had she'd have embraced him and not freaked out, he might not have, he might not have had to do what he had to do, but maybe so. But I do want to point out a couple of things. When he comes out when the thing forms, he actually comes out from under it and comes up from the floor and turns into naked Julian Sands, and he is quite naked here. And we do see his penis as he's walking, even though it is covered in black. It's pretty visible for a few seconds.
Yeah, well, it reminded me of the sequence of in Hellraiser where Frank is resurrected through the floor in the attic. So,
and the music sounds very Hellraiser-y.
Yeah, it is Hellraiser-like. And then he said that the director said that Julian Sands insisted on doing the scene nude, and he'd actually had done some other nude stuff before. There's a movie called Room with a View. You ever see that?
No, I haven't. Although it sounds like the sort of thing my wife would probably enjoy, because that was an Anthony Hopkins Merchant Ivory period piece thing.
Is it not? I don't think it's Anthony Hopkins in it. It's got Helena Bonham Carter.
That's a different movie.
That's there's Howard's End with Anthony Hopkins, and then there's
Remains of the
Day. But it's a pretty good movie, but it also does have the dude in it. What's his name?
I'm surprised he was naked in that one. I thought he'd be naked in boxing Helena, but I haven't seen that. forever.
I still need to see that one too. That one probably needs to be on our list.
Oh man,
Please
I heard
don't make
bad
us watch
stuff about
movie again.
that.
Please,
Yeah,
no.
but anyway, so yeah, he didn't. He basically was used to being nude, and he was kind of insisted on doing it the way that it was, and didn't care. But the director said they were lucky to get away with it because back then it was you could show, female get away with it, but it was showing a male nude was a little tougher. Though they did have all this black stuff all over him, so you don't see it very good. But it's pretty, especially in Blu-ray, you can definitely see it. So
I couldn't see it very well on the on the crappy copy that's on Amazon. But then again, I wasn't looking.
Yeah, I think the higher. Yeah. Well, the thing is, it's like how are they getting around it? It's like, oh, they're not getting around it. The only thing they did was put some black stuff there, but it's
it's the funny thing I just remembered is like in my family we have this. I'm not sure I should be. I'll share it anyway. But in my family we have this joke. We have this like in joke that I don't even know how it got started, but like whenever a female member of our family gets like caught like checking out somebody else's junk, they will call them meat gazer. So I was just about to call you meat gazer for looking at Julian Sands' junk.
Yeah.
Oh, and maybe that'll be a thing we do from now on whenever we talk about guys' dongs in movies.
Yeah,
we'll be like meat gazer.
Yeah.
I don't know if we should be adding meat gazer to our repertoire and show, but okay.
Or our slang vocabulary of offensive things to say.
But yeah, so the first magical thing we see him do is in this scene. He emerges from the blech and chases his mom into the bathroom, and then he levitates. I
feel like he wanted to have sex with her, because he was like, "Mommy."
What?
I think he wanted to have sex with her.
I did not. It would have been fun. At all.
Yeah.
What were you thinking?
Oh yeah.
I mean,
I'm kidding, man. I did that to get a reaction from you, but it's possible. It's possible though. But
I mean, he is evil, but
and he is a fully adult form male within seconds. She's hot,
yeah,
and he's like wanting mommy, and she's like, instead of like, I mean, I think with him being a warlock the way that he is, it's weird though because that's a different type of performance you get from him in this scene than the rest of the film. Because most of the time it's like pure evil, like a Terminator machine. But here you do get him yelling mommy for her and feeling like he needs her for a moment. And then she shuns him and then he flips his shit,
Yeah, and all the glass shatters inside the bathroom, very Highlander-ish. Yeah. And that's it. We don't see him actually kill her. We cut back to like Travis dad, Donner dad is looking very melancholy, looking out of the spinning model of the Earth and the solar system, and he decides that he needs to play one last game with his son before he goes off to college. One last chess game, and that's what they do. Yeah,
that's the scene that reveals that it's his dad too, because before that you thought he was like the wizard dude from Ghoulies. Yeah, I thought he was. You think he was the wizard dude from Ghoulies?
No, but that's another Richard Donner movie too. Now that I think about it, wow, that's weird. I guess Donner must have looked at that guy and was like, you know what? You're my surrogate. You're me in every one of these movies I do. But yeah, so I guess that's when I figure out like his name is Kenny Travis. Also, another weird thing about me and this movie is like the porcelain, this chess set that they play with is pretty cool. These really detailed chess pieces. They're made of porcelain. And we actually have a similar chess set that we inherited. I don't remember which relative we got it from, but apparently there's a type of porcelain chess set that if you have it and it's in really good condition, it could be worth a lot of money.
$20?
No, like hundreds of dollars. Like
$200.
Hundreds of dollars. Yeah, maybe 1,000. I don't know, but they're rare.
No, that's cool though. I'm sure they are. I mean, especially if you have it made out of porcelain or whatever.
Yeah, marble. It's weird. Yeah, but then the next time, and then finally we come back to that. Now Julian Sands is all showered up, still naked, showered up. He's totally clean, and he's got a different haircut too. In the first movie, he had a long blonde ponytail. This movie, his hair's like cut, pretty close to his cheekbones. And
Right, yeah, he has got it's still it's long-ish. It doesn't look like a because it is like it is hard to describe it, but I was noticing that too. It's definitely different. But it's still
yeah,
like not it's not completely short though. It comes down a little bit like past his a little bit past his ears, kind of almost to his neck sort of thing.
yeah, but he's got her dead body on a table before him, and he's got his hand in her skull.
Yeah.
And basically, this is just a reconstruction of the fortune teller scene from the first movie. And he's just using that to communicate with his father, the devil. Although in this case, it's not just suggested; it's literally the devil he's talking to. He's talking to numero uno, Prince of Darkness, Satan himself. And apparently, in this version of the Omen, Satan doesn't want his son to go through puberty or anything stupid like that. He just wants him to come right out as a hot, sexy man with half cropped hair, and he wants him to go questing. And he tells him go and find the how many stones are there? There's five.
There's six of them.
6 stones. Why couldn't they have made it 7? It's a nice round number. Anyway, there's 6 stones.
Yeah, they would have had to have another
Person
sequence.
to kill.
Someone else get killed.
Yeah.
So.
I think maybe the real reason was that they wanted the end of the world to happen over 6 days because God created the world in 6 days and destroy it in 6 days. That's probably what it was. But anyway, yeah, 6 is
It's a very, very, very like cleverly written script that pulls a lot from that sort of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, huh? They really did their research in this movie.
Yeah.
But yeah.
He does he gets he uses her flesh. He gets a map from her flesh, which is kind of cool.
Oh yeah. So in the first movie, we had the eyes that from the eyeballs of Mary Warnock's head that are like pointing in the direction to the stuff that he needs. In this movie, he just peels off her stomach. Yeah. And on the inside of it is these raised bumps that look just like the continental United States of America, and makes
exactly like it, not just a little bit.
And makes a little line that's going to take him to the next stone, which to me is like, this sounds like a good idea on paper, but the eyeball thing would have been better. Because to me, I'm looking at that and thinking, first of all, this guy was literally born a second ago. How does he even know what a road map is? How is he going to follow this line?
This dude's a genius.
But he's also
born a genius.
Keep in mind that he says that he's older than other trees and everything else there. He just been resurrected as that particular moment because it's the birthstone.
Right. But Kevin, we don't know that until the almost end of the movie. At this point, I'm thinking, how does he know anything? Because in the first movie, he's a guy from the 1600s. He knows something about the world and life and everything. But, he catches on pretty quickly in the modern world and all that. This movie, I don't know what the heck he is, really. We're just going along with it. Another problem that's related
I'm just happy Julian Sands is playing him the whole time.
Me too. I wouldn't have gotten him,
I don't care. I don't care that much about it not making that much sense. But, it's definitely like...
But the other problem we got going on here, though, is that in the first movie... We at first had the problem of, okay, we're dealing with a warlock in a horror movie, and we're dealing with magic. And the problem with magic is you don't know what magic can't do. And with this character in the first movie, you don't know at first what he can't do. But in the first movie, every time he got a new page or page set of the Bible of Black Magic, he learned a new spell. And we saw that. We saw him progressively get more and more powerful. And then Richard E. Grant comes along and shows us all the different ways he can be bound, ways that can be hurt, ways he can kill him. So we've got all these different ways of how we know what witchcraft works and everything. This movie, on the other hand, there's no progression whatsoever. He just has all of his powers. He has all the powers, really, up front. We don't know what he can't do. We don't know what his limitations are. We don't see him, bulk at anything. Iron doesn't seem to. They don't ever use iron to do anything to him. It's like he had to. Dude in the first movie had to kill an unbaptized boy, skin him alive, boil his fat, and drink it in order to fly. This guy flies day one, minute one. I can fly.
Yeah, I'm glad they didn't redo that again with the kid. That didn't turn out too good last time. But I always said they didn't have time to do. They could have maybe, but they didn't want to spend the time to do that. It would have made the movie ridiculously long, but
Well, I mean, they could have just said that every time he gets a stone, and maybe the stone is linked to a certain
yeah,
element or something, which, by the
right.
way, it just occurred to
Okay.
me what this movie is. And I wrote it down, and now I remember this movie, the first movie is Terminator. You know what this movie is? This movie is Infinity War. He's collecting magic
Yeah.
stones to end the world.
Well,
Just like Thanos was collecting
yeah, yeah.
different stones to end
Well,
the world.
Infinity War was later. Like they ripped this movie off, Infinity War.
And Kevin reads comic books. I'm willing to bet somebody who wrote one of the two guys who wrote this movie clearly read Marvel's Infinity Saga. I think it's what they did.
But yeah, you think how old is the Marvel Infinity Saga, like the comic
They
book?
wrote that back in like the late 70s, early 80s.
Oh, okay, all right. So yeah, that's probably happened. Yeah,
Yep, that's
Yeah,
what
yeah,
happened.
Well,
Marvel
the
could have been
original,
suing
the
these people.
original Infinity Wars was somewhere in the either late 80s or early 90s.
it still could have happened. It's a strong possibility. I do want to. So I don't know if we talked about this. That she does have the mom has a stone that she put around her neck, and that's what drew him there to begin with. And he t does take that stone
The
while,
birthstone.
while he takes the when he takes the map and all that.
I love how the birthstone is differently shaped than all the other ones.
Yeah,
It looks almost like it's a vaginal teardrop kind of shape.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Did that's when Zach Galligan shows up and he takes his suit, and then
I will say, I'm so glad that they didn't show what happened to Zach Galligan. I mean, he totally Terminators him. I mean, he looks at him and goes black. Like it's just like, I want your clothes, your boots, your motorcycle. But he takes Zach Galligan's black outfit and everything. But we don't know what
yeah,
happens to Zach. So he could have lived.
it's very unlikely. Saying that what this Warlock typically likes to do, and it'd be tough for him to get the clothes off of him
Yeah, I mean,
without
because
killing
like
him.
you're right, because the main difference between this Warlock and the previous Warlock he played in the first movie is that the previous Warlock in the first movie had been known to let some people live. He has been known to bargain with people, threaten people, and sometimes let
Yeah.
them live. But this one, pretty much everybody he encounters
Guys.
is destroyed, is killed, is murdered.
Yeah.
Oh, well, that's
Or-
what happens when the
Or
next scene.
trapped.
Yeah. He
Yeah,
goes,
or trapped.
he goes to the cab driver and turns him into like I mean, he is completely dead, but he's still driving the cab anyway. I don't even think he's a zombie, but it's almost like a what do you call them? Those Waymos, it's like a Waymo, but a dead cab driver driving the cab.
That part didn't make any sense to me because, like,
Why?
okay, I can understand him hypnotizing a cab driver to drive his car from New York to Chicago, which he doesn't even know what Chicago is, but now he knows that it exists because they got to go there. So I get that, but by the time they're halfway there, the guy in the cab is a corpse with holes in his face,
Mhm.
and yet the cab is still being driven. I assumed by the corpse. We find out later when he loses said corpse. Nope, the cab now drives itself. So I'm like, why did you even bother to hypnotize the cabbie? Did you need to like observe him for several hours to learn how to drive? Is that what it is? Also, you're a warlock. You can fly. Why are you driving?
And he can fly pretty high too, as we see in a later scene. He goes pretty high, and like in the first movie where he just goes just a little bit off the ground.
Yeah. In the
that's-
first movie, he can only go up to like maybe 20 feet in the air at the most.
But when he flies, we don't know how long he can fly for. We don't get a lot of information about what he can or can't do. But
we
yeah,
get so much information about the stones, about druids, about what druids can and cannot do, but almost nothing about what our antagonists can and cannot do.
Yeah, he seems like he can do whatever he wants.
Pretty much.
Really, yeah. But we go into the fake town. There's a mistletoe cafe for some reason. I assume it's from a Christmas movie, and they didn't change the name of it.
No,
But-
actually, that makes sense to me. Actually, well, believe it or not, that bit, I'm like, I saw that, and I go, oh, that tracks. Because mistletoes are a big thing in like occultism and actual witchcraft. Because like its properties are it's said to have it's a popular poison, but it's also if you do something with it, it can also supposedly prolong the act of lovemaking, which is why you have the whole kiss under the mistletoe thing in New Year's. So the mistletoe itself has a very long history of magical properties and stuff. So that part made total sense to me.
That makes no sense for a town where everyone goes to eat to have a cafe called Mistletoe, dude.
I know, but if you watch later on in the movie when they're on the eve before their battle and they kiss, they're kissing under a mistletoe.
Do you think they called it Mistletoe Cafe on purpose, or what? You think it was just already like that when they got to the set, and it was like, let's just keep it,
dude. That freaking town is so clearly a long outdoor set with facades.
Yeah,
they built that stuff. They built everything there.
But it was definitely already there. I mean, they were shooting this on like Disney lots, the back lots and stuff like that. But they obviously had some. They could change some things, but the question is, I really think he didn't say this, but for it to be called Mistletoe Cafe, I don't think that they did that on purpose. I think that it was already like that.
It may have been for like another movie or a movie coming up that was called the Mistletoe Cafe, and they just left it there like that. Yeah. That might be
it.
But Thomas has got it figured out. It's clearly
it's a druid thing, man. It's a druid thing. It's a druid. It's an occult thing. Yeah.
Yes. So we meet two new main kind of characters. His dad's got two other druid friends. One of them is played by R.G. Armstrong,
Franks.
His name's Franks, and then he played like in the first Predator film. He played like the guy that sends him out on the mission.
Oh, really? Oh, yeah, okay. I was training my brain to figure out where I'd seen him before.
Yeah, he's a character.
Of the Corn as well. We mentioned him in Children of the Corn.
I think he's in Waxwork too, but he's a character actor and he did a bunch of movies, and he's actually pretty good in this character. And the other guy named Ethan Larson, which we don't really get his name. The actor is Charles Hallahan, who was in The Thing. He was like the guy who the best scene in The Thing where his the doctor's doing the paddles on him and it goes into his stomach.
Oh,
yeah. But he's also like. I recognized him from The Thing and this from Hunter. He played like one of the main characters on that show, Hunter.
Yeah, Hunter. Yep.
Yeah, he was like the police captain on that too. We got like two police captains in this group here. The Mistletoe Cafe group. And the other guy, R.G. Armstrong, Franks, played the captain on in Predator. So there's really three freaking captains here. You know.
Yeah,
I think he's like a general on Predator. I think.
I think
you're right. Yeah. You got a general and two police captains, and in the end, they're both kind of useless.
Yeah. Well, they even say that they know they're useless, so they even like say we're going to sacrifice ourselves just to slow them down a little bit, you know.
Yeah, but that's too obvious of a plot thing. We're going to save ourselves are useless, and in the movie they are useless. I was like, fuck, okay.
Yeah, but they try. they try, you know. That's one thing that movie is kind of. They do send the one guy off, the guy from The Thing, to go and try to track down the Warlock and slow him down, is what they say. But
I thought he went off on his own volition because he steals the magic dagger. He steals the magic dagger and goes off, and they're like, "Oh, idiot!"
They talk about it with him though. They're like,
he's supposed to slow the Warlock down is what he's supposed to do, but he takes the dagger with him. He's not supposed to take the dagger with him, but he takes it with him.
Yeah. because another big difference between this movie and the first one is that in the first one we have all different kinds of ways that you can kill a warlock, and my favorite way, of course, is hanging them over a box of live cats and burning them. That would have been amazing to see in this movie when they had the budget to do just that. Nope, that is not at all. In fact, and according to this movie, the only way to kill a warlock is you got to be a druid. And
druid warrior.
You gotta be what?
A druid warrior.
A druid warrior.
A Druish warrior.
A Druish warrior, yes. Space funny. They don't look Druish. But yeah, you got to be a Druish warrior, and you got to be a warrior who has died, and then they do a magic ritual to you and bring you back to life, and then now you're able to use your Jedi mind tricks, and then you've got to then take a magic dagger and stab it into the warlock's heart. That's how you do it.
Yeah, it's a bit too complicated. This movie gets like you don't need all this complications.
Somehow the basket of live cats actually makes more sense.
Yeah.
Oh Jesus!
It does make for a kind of an interesting ending. Like the fights at the end are pretty cool, but
Oh yeah. I'm glad
but
you
I mean,
mentioned that
yeah,
because I will say that's the thing I was excited about for this movie. I was waiting and thinking, a great idea that this movie has is let's do something that the first movie couldn't do, which is let's have our Warlock go up against a protagonist who also can do magic. Let's have a wizard's duel. That's something that you couldn't do in the first movie because Richard E. Grant doesn't do magic. So that's what I was looking forward to for this movie. And it does deliver on that count.
I think the last 30 minutes of it's really, really solid once the Warlock gets into town there.
Yeah, it is. It is. And I also will say, while I'm at it, the other good thing about this movie, as far from that's the script is bad, but there is one good thing. There's two good things about the script. That idea is the first one. The second one is that the Warlock's whole quest actually kind of makes sense. It makes more sense than the first movie. Because remember, we were talking about the part about the first movie that didn't make any sense is the Warlock is questing to find the book Bible of Black Magic that's going to unmake creation. Which, if you think about it, that means it'll unmake him too. So whatever bargaining he does with the devil to become the devil's only son or whatever, that doesn't make any sense unless you say that he's going to be king or messiah of a new universe, which I think was going to be the thing in the original script, but they cut that out. So, but as a result, that whole thing doesn't really make any sense. But we don't care because that movie is good. This movie isn't very good, but it's got some cool things in it. And this time, his quest actually makes sense because in this time, his only mission is to open the gates of hell, let his daddy come up the hellhole, come to Earth, and destroy things and rule and reign and kill all humanity. That's fine. The galaxy's still going to be here. The Earth and the Moon are still going to be here, and by extension, maybe the Warlock is still going to be here too. So that's why it's Warlock the Armageddon, not Warlock the unmaking of everything. So that part I liked.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think his goals make sense for the Warlock. I mean, the goals make sense in this one when
he wants to please his daddy.
Yeah.
He just wants to make his daddy happy.
Now,
kill his mother, please the daddy. That's what he does.
So, This movie almost hates women. This movie almost hates women.
I don't think it hates women. I
think it almost hates women.
Well, I don't know because for the most part, what's his face? Kitty keeps trying to put Samantha to the side and protect her the entire time, and she's the one that's actually, has this more strength than he does, but he's always like putting her off the side to save her. Like, oh, she needs to save.
But that's why I say it doesn't hate women because it gives her more power. It makes her characters actually more interesting than his character ultimately.
Yeah.
But which now this is when we actually find out Kenny and Samantha are boyfriend and girlfriend. They meet out by the beautiful lake and they make out and then they have like some like lifetime dialogue and which then something real weird happens. Suddenly R.G. Armstrong and the dad come strolling up with shotguns, which is a really cool sequence, I think. And then they come up, and then she's like, "Okay, the birds have stopped chirping." It's like, and she's like, "I'm out," and she runs off. And then then the dad and his friend come up, and he takes the shotgun out. And he's like, "Dad, what are you doing?" And he just shoots him, shoots a big hole in Kenny's chest, and then it has It kind of reminds me of some Evil Dead shot where it's like this kind of crane shot where he's on in above Kenny as he goes over the ground and hits the ground, and that's a really cool sequence. At that point, we're like, why did he shoot his son? What's going on? We don't know that he's going to bring him back in the next scene, but after they bring him back and we find out what's going on, most of the mystery of that part of the story has been revealed, and then until the Warlock gets there, it's just them Jedi training it to get ready for the Warlock. But it's about
Yeah.
30 minutes into it, but we got another 30 minutes of stuff happening for before the Warlock gets there. So
Yeah, because
yeah.
the Warlock has to make a road trip
Yeah.
where he collects a stone each time. And like I said, he makes no interactions at all with our lead characters. In fact, but he never knows them. He doesn't know who they are by the time he gets there. He just knows they stand in his way between him and the stone. There is one interaction that they have accidentally, and we'll get to that when we get to that, because it's hilarious but also frustrating, because it shows a way that the Warlock can be hurt that they do not ever come back to.
Yeah.
Again,
Well, no, it's funny. Yeah.
cut.
Yeah, no, I don't think. I think it's hilarious. You talking about when the R.G. Armstrong, Frank's characters, it goes into this really bizarre. This is actually the next scene after this happens. He's like sitting there, or pretty close to it. He's sitting there like doing all this weird stuff with like a leaf, and he's got a pen, and it goes on for a little while. And apparently, you can tell. You can tell the way that
scroll. He found an old scroll. He says, "I found this old scroll."
Yeah.
And he's going to Kenny's dad. He's like, "There's a way in here that shows us how to hurt a warlock." He's like, "Put that stupid thing away, man." He's like, "No, here, look, it says I just got to do this. I got to put some little bit of blood or something on this little pen, and I got to stick on this maple leaf, and that's going to make him bleed." And then cut to halfway across the country, he's at a gas station, and all of a sudden, every time he plunges his pen into that leaf, Warlock just explodes with black blood and pain. It's the most we ever see him vulnerable and in pain.
Yeah, it's so awesome though. The funny thing is, to me, this is the type of dark comedy that I like. That I like it that they don't know that it worked, and they're like, "Oh hell, it was stupid anyway." And then they could have stopped him probably, because they're sitting there like, man, nothing we do matters. Like the only thing that matters is that we train Kenny and we get him ready to fight the Warlock. No, we don't matter anymore, And then they do, because they could have just kept indefinitely punching that leaf, and then they could have just kept the Warlock incapacitated for 6 days, and he never would have been able to get the stones,
Yes. Just tear the leaf. They should just tore it, crumpled the leaf up, like a voodoo doll, and that would be it. But they weren't smart enough to figure that out. So.
Well, it's not that they weren't smart enough. How could they know? It's not like they could. There's no way of knowing. They're like, and the dad's like, "Man, that's not working." He's just like, "Look at this," on the pen, and it's like, but that's what he's at that gas station too, when we see the cab driver's dead and all that, and the guy working there is like, "Man, your cab driver is dead over here, man."
We'll get back to that, but like I said, like every stop the Warlock makes, except for that one, he collects a new gem. But what's interesting though is we do know one rule. We know one rule about this Warlock. I can't remember if the devil says it or if he says it when he's collecting the first one from Joanna Pakula at the fashion show. But we know that he's got to collect these stones. He's got 6 days to do it. He's got to go cross country to gather all these mystic rune stones to end the world. Well, to bring his daddy Satan up from hell. But there is a limit to his power. There's one limit, is that he must be given the stones. He can't just take the stones.
Yeah.
Everybody who he meets.
Which they kind of break that rule later.
I know.
I know. They kind of got I get to that point. They're like, screw the rules we made up. But it makes the rule. It's nice that he has at least one rule that he has to follow. It's a very cumbersome rule, and it makes
it does.
Challenging.
It does. And modern audiences, they were watching this movie, will think to themselves during those sequences, they'll be like, what this makes with this feels like a not as good version of Wishmaster, is what it sounds like. It feels very much like the Wishmaster movies, where the Jinn has a limitation to his power, which is that he can only do what a human wishes. Mm-hmm. I mean, he'll use those wishes to destroy you, but that's a limit to his power. In this case, he can only he has to get the victim to give him the stone willingly. And in this first bit, it's just pretty cool. He goes to Chicago, and there's a Chicago fashion show, apparently. I thought New York was the big fashion show, but okay, he's in Chicago. And it's a really cool backdrop where you see the skyline and all these beautifully lit mural is buildings, and it's like on a rooftop. Well, not a rooftop, but like a penthouse where this fashion show is happening. And he meets
there is a rooftop involved with this too, but it's
yes,
but
yes,
the fashion show's up near the rooftop. Yeah.
It is. But like also like he goes to this fashion show and he sees that the second stone is being held by one of the models, and he just makes a laser beeline to that lady and walks onto the catwalk, and everybody's taking his pictures like, ooh, look at him, he's so fine. He's got all these pictures being taken of him. He would have been on the cover of Vogue the next day. But like he goes to the dressing room and sees a bunch of half naked models, and he makes a beeline for the lady in question, the fashion designer, who's played by Joanna Pacula, whom horror fans will remember as the vampire in Innocent Blood. Yep. And when I saw her, I thought to myself, wouldn't it be neat if we've had Zach Galligan in the beginning, which I now know was a bit of an accident, but wouldn't it have been fun if each one of these victims who had the stone was like a celebrity or a horror like celebrity or somebody like famous or somewhat famous? I think that would have been a neat thing to do, and have each one be his victims. That if you're going to do a movie like this, I think that's the way to do it, because then every time the Warlock goes someplace, you're thinking, ooh, who's he going to kill next? Who's he going to meet? What's he going to do? That's part of the joy of a story kind of like this, because if you're not going to have your main villain have some kind of relationship with your lead actors, some kind of conflict with them, at least give them something more interesting to do than what he mostly does throughout the movie, which is kill random people.
Yeah, when it was weird in the opening credits. She's like fourth build, and she gets like the end credit, and she's in it for like maybe 4 minutes or something, like 3 or 4 minutes, briefly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, he takes her to a rooftop. He basically says like, "I am a witch, and I can prove it." And so he takes her by the hand and levitates Superman style.
But not only that, before he does that, she actually says she will give him the stone if he can prove that, isn't it? Because that was the deal. He made a deal with her, like, will you give me the stone if I think prove that magic exists or something like that. I don't remember exactly what he says, but
if he could prove to her that he's a witch.
Yeah. Which he does say witch instead of warlock, yeah. So,
yeah, he does say, "I'm not a man, I'm a witch," which is like the first time that this movie, I don't think the first movie does this, but like this movie definitely makes this weird distinction that witches are not human, which I apologize for all Wicca practitioners out there who must be offended at that remark. They're like, wait a minute. But yeah, that's what this movie says, that witches are not human. So he's saying, "I'm not human, I'm a witch." And he says, "I will prove it." And he proves it by levitating her. And he's like, "Would you like to go higher?" And she's like, "Yes." And she's like all breathless, like she's like wanting to like have sex with him in the sky. But then he's like
attracted to him, by the way. So she is attracted to him. So
I mean, he's Julian Sands. I mean, look at him.
Well, this is like, I mean, obviously for the plot and for the scene, to me, it's like my request would have been, when he asked for this, Joel, it'd be, "Hey, let's go back down on top of the roof, and then I'll give you the stone at that point,"
Yeah, let's go. Okay, you proved to me. Now let's go back down. Now, she's like, "Give it to me in midair." Yeah, and then she gives him the stone, and they do this cool effect. Like whenever he grabs one of the stones, it makes a cool sound effect, and then the magic comes out of it down the bones of his hand and into his arms.
Yeah.
And then he takes that, and he's just like, "Bye."
Yeah.
And she crashes through the window and the roof and gets impaled on a huge thing of glass right through her chest. Although you don't actually see it go through, unfortunately. You just see the blood spurt all over the photographers and everybody.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of a cool scene, as far as her going down, the practicality of it. It works for the most part. I would think they'd have gone through her or something, which you do see a pipe go through Kenny later, but it's never, I don't think it's in the actual shot coming through it. It's harder to have it come through. And with the CGI available at this time, it would have looked horrible, I'm sure.
Yeah, the pipe thing doesn't really work very well for me, because that thing keeps moving when he's moving.
Yeah. Why would the hell is a damn pipe in the middle of the road anyway? You
Well,
know?
the Warlock put it there. Remember, like
Uh,
the building blows up
Yeah,
and
he blows up
the
the whole building and everything.
oh yeah, yeah.
yeah, that part, it being there worked for me,
Yeah, it was
but later on it didn't work. But
It-
yeah, anyway, so the two old guys are well, now this is happening every time he gets one of the stones. One of the signs happens. There's signs of the
yeah.
end of the world. Birds dropping out of the sky.
Yeah. We get to see a bunch of townspeople all like flipping their lids over it, like blaming them for being Satanists. And it has that Buck Flowers is one of the townspeople. You see him twice.
yeah.
He was in Waxwork too, played the dad. He's in They Live.
He's in a
Probably
lot
probably
of
his
John
big
Carpenter films.
yeah, his biggest role is
Oh.
probably They Lived, but he played the stepdad in Waxwork 2 that gets killed by the hand at the beginning of it.
Oh, yeah. Now I remember
Yeah,
that guy.
yeah,
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 I like him.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
You see him twice. He gets a close up in the second scene. The first time he's actually talking to the Reverend, and you see a kind of over shoulder of him there. Pretty, he doesn't get a lot to do, but he does actually get featured in it.
Yeah, I think he's also the dad in another movie that we reviewed here, which was Night of the Creeps, where he says ribbed when he's because he's sold a
No,
condom.
that's Art something. He's like that's the guy from Trancers and he's in that Field of Dreams. He played the he played somebody in Field of Dreams,
Oh
but
yeah,
it's a different dude. But Buck Flowers, he probably mostly is They Live, but he's
They
also
Live.
there's a movie called Evil Spirits. He's in. He was in a lot of horror movies.
Yeah.
But
that's cool. Well, the casting director was good with the other parts around him. But yeah,
yeah,
like apparently, like this is right around when Kenny gets resurrected, and he's got his dad and his two old poker buddies apparently around him, going, "Oh, thank God, it worked!" And he's back to life. And they explain to him that the warrior, the Jewish warrior, has to die and come back from the dead, which I guess is he says like the phoenix he rises, and I'm like,
yeah.
yeah, or like Christ from the tomb. Yeah.
Like
Anyway,
it's clearly the Phoenix. It's the Phoenix.
yeah, clearly. Although it's
Wait,
funny because like the Phoenix became the Phoenix did become a symbol of Christianity in the early church, like dolphins did too. So that's a thing as well. An old first century art. But
Well,
yeah,
I mean, I think the Phoenix analogy makes sense because the Phoenix burns and then comes back up, which is not really burned, but I don't know. I guess it could make sense too, but I think it'd be a little more heavy-handed if you were like, just like Jesus Christ when he rose from the tomb. You are Jesus.
well, yeah,
It might have went a little too far. He's Luke Skywalker. He's not Jesus,
He's Druid Jesus. He's Druid Jesus, but he also has Lady Druid Jesus, which we'll find out later. But yeah, it is a very messianic thing, and also like these Druids clearly believe in Satan. Like the Druids say, we are here to protect the world from the son of Satan, which we don't know very much about the Druids, but we're pretty sure they didn't believe in Satan.
They believed in Satan. They know how if they.
Yeah, they're like some
I
kind
don't
of
know.
guardians.
I was going to make a joke about it. It's
Oh,
just,
no.
yeah, none of it. I mean, it's.
Well,
Although, like I said, I like the idea of a magical warrior fighting the warlock with magic. That's
Yeah.
going to be cool. They do set that up, and they gotta. And of course, I do think it's funny though how Kenny is all just like, "What? I." And he takes this reaction pretty well, where it's like he had all these plans. He was going to go to San Francisco and with Sammy, but now it's like, no, you can't do that. You gotta train to be a druid warrior now. And
Yeah.
it's not like he can say no. I mean, his dad just killed him and brought him back from the dead.
well,
He didn't
can't
ever
say
have
no.
it.
He says, "I don't want this responsibility. I believe in now. Y'all go have fun with your Armageddon."
Yeah. It's
But-
yeah, but the dad even says something's up where like the dad says that he would have done it himself had he been picked, but some reason Kenny and Samantha were specifically picked for reasons like unclear, but but I guess it's just part of it.
He's the
born,
chosen.
they're born in the same year at least. Their mother's died in childbirth. that's about the extent of that we know. And they
Yeah.
both all assumed that they would be the Druid warriors, which is why Samantha's father, Tim, decided to exercise himself in that group because he didn't want his daughter to be a part of all that. He wanted to give her a normal life. But, as we learn about the relationship between Sam and Kenny, that doesn't matter. Fate just kind of made them come together, regardless of what their parents wanted. And so that's kind of like some of the ideals bubbling under the surface for the film that the film has to try and make us want to believe in order to carry this story along, because it's so much time with this whole Druid story and these two characters. So.
Yeah, and these scenes are also where I noticed a lot of the split dioptric shots were. So it's like Anthony Hitchcock. I will say that one thing that makes this movie a little bit better. Well, no, one aspect of this movie that is a little bit better than the first one is Anthony Hitchcock's camera work. He does do a lot more interesting, flashier setups than Steve Miner ever could have thought of. Although I think in this movie, the camera stuff kind of draws attention to itself a little bit more, because it's pretty clear after like the fourth split dioptric that he's kind of just doing that not to be cool per se, because I don't think Anthony Hitchcock is concerned with being cool. I think he's trying to make what would normally be very boring dialogue scenes arresting and interesting to look at. Because, when magical stuff's happening, he doesn't need to, do cool split dioptrics to make that look cool, because it already is cool. But it's stuff like this where you got, freaking Kenny's face in the foreground and his dad in the background saying, "You're a Druid warrior. You got it."
Scenes.
What?
Exposition scenes, and they're
exposition. Here we go. It's the exposition. Here we go. We got an info dump.
Yeah, I mean, it's actually a little distracting when filmmakers do that, when they try to make the exposition scenes more interesting. When you actually, first time you watch something, you're actually listening to what they're saying. You're trying to figure out what the hell they're talking about sometimes, but because it's like, I mean, yeah, like later on it might be like, man, this is a boring scene, but I don't think he liked the script. He actually mentions it in his commentary. He mentions it. He does say, "I didn't write this." He's like, and it has some problems with the script, but I think he was trying to make the best out of it.
That makes sense.
But I think he also went a little too ambitious. He tried to do too much stuff that wasn't really, with the budget and with CGI at the time, it wasn't really capable of doing some of the things that they were trying to do. But there is a lot that he tried to do, which is commendable, but it just like it comes off as they tried, but they didn't quite get there with it.
There's a lot of hokey stuff in this second act when they're trying to teach him how to become a Jedi. Oh, I mean, become a Druid warrior. Sorry, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Rewatching the second act was hard for me because all of the visual effects are so dated. I won't say bad. I can't say.
Oh no! Some of them are objectively bad.
Well, the thing is, when I saw this in 93, when the movie came out, when I saw it in 93, I never really gave that thought that they were bad. It's only now, 30 plus years later, that I'm looking at this and I was like, oh my God. How?
I think that, I think that people thought that they weren't up to snuff at the time. I remember like some of my friends were talking about how bad that some of the the baseball stuff looked bad. Yeah,
baseball stuff is terrible, but I think even if you're watching this on a bad VHS, which is probably the most forgiving way to watch this movie, but there's one shot later on, and I clocked it. It's way later on. It's like when Kenny has finally learned how to be a real druid, and he's finally like he can talk to the trees and stuff and understand them, and he makes friends with the squirrel. Right around that time, right before that, is this wide shot where he is levitating in lotus position.
Yeah.
And it is the worst composite shot I have ever seen in the history of man and cinema.
But it looked just, I mean, I thought it looked just as bad in the first Warlock with the flying scene. There was like there's a composite scene. They look green in those when I see it.
But he looks teal. He looks really green, and he doesn't and he kind of shifts a little bit in the frame, which is like really bad.
It's not good, but there is a scene that barn sequence in the original one where Julian Sands looks like that too, briefly. It's not as stupid as this because that was like the Empire Strikes Back scene with Luke like levitating and then falls. The same thing happens, I mean, to me, it's like that's more cringeworthy than the actual composite effect. The fact that they did that. The
cringeworthy scene is when he decides to take apart his motorcycle and does the spinning with all the parts and just to appease the nature and the squirrels and stuff. And I'm like, oh, I forgot this scene was in this movie.
Yeah.
Oh my God. How bad it is.
It's so bad, and it doesn't really pay off. He doesn't like take apart a car and like fling the pieces at the Warlock.
Yeah, which we're hoping he would do at some point. But we do see the Warlock do his little spinning thing when he has all of the runestones layer, but that's about it.
Those apparently were really hard shots to do. The director was talking about how it was very time consuming, and it doesn't hold up. But he said took forever to do what he said.
I believe it. I believe it 100%. Because of the time when this movie was made. Nowadays, it would be like a couple clicks on the computer and you got it, and it looks perfect. But back then, I'm not surprised at all. I think it was a very ambitious film, but it was trying to make a superhero movie before superheroes was popular.
True. Yeah, that's a good point. I think it's funny that the first night when the dad brings Kenny out into the woods, and he's like, "Man, listen to the trees, and we're going to start your training the next day." And he's like, "All right, I'm going to leave you here. Just stay here. Listen to the trees." And it's like, okay.
The trees are laughing at him at one point.
The trees are laughing. Yes, and that's the stuff that for me didn't hold up so well. I was like, oh my God, this is so hokey.
What's wrong with listening to the trees? You sit out there, you listen to the trees, next thing you know how to fight a warlock. Where it's like Samantha doesn't even need any of that shit. She just uses her like female like intuition and just like use the powers right away.
She uses them without even dying first. Remember, the first time she uses them is when she had that conversation with Will in her kitchen. She locks the door. She's not been killed yet, but she's got the power.
Oh yeah, she does. Yeah. I think some of that may be from her living too long because like she needed to be killed earlier in order to.
Well, I think it's you can be a druid and do magic like the old guys do. I don't think they died in order to be druids. I don't think that's part of being a druid. But in order to be a druid warrior and to be one of the people who could kill the son of Satan, you gotta die. So I think every druid can do magic, but not every druid can be a druid warrior. You got to go through the death and resurrection ritual. So I think that's why she could do stuff before dying, quote unquote.
Yeah. That's one of her best scenes though, when she goes and talks to the dad and locks the door on him. She's really good in that scene. That's the one I was going to point out for being good in.
You're right. Yeah, indeed. Yeah. And then like he has to kill his daughter. I wonder if that's the real. See, that this movie would have been a lot more dramatic as a story if they just explained that the reason the Reverend left the order of Druidness to become a straight up Methodist minister or Reverend is that he knew that at some point if his daughter was one of the Druid chosen warriors, he would have to kill her, and he could not bring himself to do that, especially after her mother died.
Well, and well, that's a good scene too. But the scene I was talking about, she goes and confronts Kenny's dad, and then that's when she locks the door on him. And I really like her. Her performance is really good in the scene where she goes back to her dad, and she wants him to kill her, and he won't do it, so she has to kill herself instead. But I do like both of those sequences with her. I think she played better off of those guys than she did off the other love interest dude,
And the transition from that when she kills herself and like the transition they do from her head going back to her waking up on the slab was so awesome.
Yeah,
That was
Yeah,
cool.
yeah.
That was a
Yeah.
really cool
Yeah.
idea. Bravo, Mr. Hickox.
I guess we'll back up to back in. So where we're at
Let's just talk
before we're
about
at the gas.
each of the
Yeah,
deaths.
we're at the gas. We're at the gas station, which is
Oh,
another
wait, no, the
death.
sideshow
Yeah.
happens before that, though.
Does it?
Yeah.
No, the sideshow's after the gas station because the gas station happens. It then the circus bullshit, but not really bullshit. It's all right though. I mean, it has the little guy from Waxworks back in there, but
Yeah.
Except
But
he's in
we
drag
talk,
playing a
yeah,
girl this time.
yeah. We did talk about the gas station, except for the end part. After he's got lost all his blood, the attendant comes back and he's like says he's lost a lot of blood, and Warlock's like, "Well, fill me up," and then he reaches up, bites into the guy's face, and which he apparently, I guess, he just bites his eye out, and you know, so-
Well, I always thought that he sucked his life out or sucked his blood to fill him up. That's always what I see. I don't know.
I thought the same thing too, Kev. And I thought, okay, well now he's just a vampire this time because there was something vampiric about the character in the first movie. Now they're just going right into it, I guess. They're just out about it.
Because later he has to kill the hitchhiker and rips her head off just to have blood to repurpose for the flesh map. So blood is being used in multiple ways in this movie. You can all if you want
there's just cool stuff happening all together with the Warlock. It don't matter as long as it's cool,
As long as it looks cool.
Yeah, it's cool.
But yeah, he does have to replenish his blood in some way, even though his blood's black and not red. But he does have to replenish it after losing so much of it. So I guess that's how he does it.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
But he doesn't do it all the time, ladies and gentlemen. It's just this once he becomes a vampire, and then they never mention it again.
So then circus scene, we see the guy from Waxwork in drag for some reason, and
yeah, it's weird. It's weird. Yeah.
Apparently, he played Alf in the suit. I was reading about
really?
that. Yeah, I guess several performers played Alf, but he was one of them.
That's cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah. So,
wow.
Well,
so yeah, he comes to a circus sideshow.
It's
That's
not
got
very
all
big.
these. What?
It's not very big either.
Well, I mean, Kevin, I don't know if you've ever been to one of these little sideshows. They're pretty cramped because it's a small little, almost illegal operation they got going on there, where you go to a series of little room tents and you see supposedly, freak things. I didn't go in, but there was a carnival I saw not too long ago that advertised a headless woman who was alive. Like supposedly the body was still alive, but she had no head. I didn't go in. I wish I had, but I'm sure there was a very claustrophobic area. But
you should have went in there, man. That's something to see. That would have been an experience just to see how ridiculous the whole thing was,
Yeah, maybe, but so it's like maybe I'll write a story about it at some point because now it just made me think about it. But anyway, that's you could do a whole movie just about that. But anyway, what I thought was funny is it's Anthony Hickox and this room is filled with wax dummies. I'm like, well, of course, he can't help himself. The director of Waxwork can't help but have Waxworks. And I thought for sure, Warlock's going to bring these wax dummies to life and have him kill the guy. Nope, that's not at all what happens. Instead, this circus guy, this freak master, as he calls him, he's got the gem, and he's got this little person who may or may not be psychic. And then the little person goes, "He is the son of Satan who's going to destroy the world." And then Warlock's like, "Oh, you are psychic." Picks him up and throws her into the Iron Maiden, which is apparently a real Iron Maiden he's got in his freak show. And that kills it.
Yeah, but he does it. He puts it in there, and he's already stabbed all the way through him, and then he closes it all the way, which is more spikes on the inside part of it. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool though that they do that. Actually,
he kills more variety of living beings in this movie than he does in the first one. I mean, we haven't even mentioned the poor rabbit that he runs over with his car.
Oh yeah,
He's
real random.
He's killed. Yeah, he kills a dog. He kills a rabbit. He kills a little person. So
You think he
yeah,
killed that rabbit on purpose, or you think he
Yes.
probably did? Yeah. It
yeah. I
reminds
think
me of, like, you ever see that movie U-Turn? Sean Penn, he just runs over a cat at the beginning. He's like, ha, 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 you know.
wow.
He's like, that's how, like, you got your main character run over a cat and think that it's funny, you know.
Dang. Yeah, I knew that movie was crazy, but I didn't realize it was that
Oh
crazy.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
But anyway, yeah. So he chases this freak master through a hall of mirrors, and he's going in and out of the mirrors, and he's like, give me, and then he gets him through the mirror into the mirror verse, and he's like, give me the stone, and I'll let you out, and I'll let you live. And he's like, but he tricks him. He's like, guess which side, gets which me is real, which stone is real. He's got two stones in his hand. Which one's the mirror stone and which one's real? And he's like, ha ha, you idiot. It's this one. Ha. And he's right. But he tricks him and traps him behind the mirror. He lets him live. But the mirrorverse apparently is filled with this weird, like, train thing with a monster or a doll inside it. And then there's just, like, quick flashes of, like, what looks like B-roll footage from John Carpenter's Mouth of Madness. And then that's it. That's all we see of the poor Freak Master.
Yeah. He might as well have killed the guy. I don't think he can survive in that mirrorverse. I don't even know if there's food there or anything. But
I mean, technically speaking, he was true to his word. He's a lawful evil warlock. He makes deals and he follows through on them to the letter.
Well,
yeah, I mean, I always kind of like, obviously you got to do it with the plot, but it's so odd the way he always tricks the people into giving him the stone.
yeah.
Every time. I guess they don't realize what exactly is at stake, but they do seem to a little bit. Most of the characters seem to think that they're not going to give it to him, and then it's very little convincing, and then suddenly they're handing it over, you know?
Well, the art collector guy later on, I feel like, is the least credible of all of them.
Yeah, I agree. I think they gets more like that because the first woman at the fashion show made sense, even though it was kind of annoying that she didn't tell him to bring her back down. But it did make sense because he did legitimately trick her. This guy, I mean, because he's gonna get the stone no matter what. But at the same time, it's like none of these guys are gonna be smart enough to trick him. But it does seem a little too easy sometimes. But they don't have a lot of time to spend on all of these scenes, you know?
Yeah, that's the problem too with making Warlock basically a slasher. Because that's what this is at this point.
Yes.
Yeah, he becomes, and I think it's what they thought that they were going to have. They thought they were going to have a franchise where Julian Sands would just every year or so do another Warlock movie where he just kills people with magical powers. And they're almost making him a little Freddy Krueger-ish.
Yeah,
it's like if you have Warlock, you basically have Freddy Krueger in the real world every movie.
Yeah.
Which we all know how well that conceit works in the Nightmare on Elm Street movies, but okay.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's a different type of film, but I think the Warlock's a good horror icon. I think he's underappreciated, especially Julian Sands, the way that he does it. But he's definitely he was never as popular, even as popular as Leprechaun. People still, they may consider Leprechaun lower tier, but but say like Chucky, is probably the lower of the higher tier ones.
Yeah. I think he might have been considered more if he had done more of these movies. I feel like you need to do at least 3.
Yeah,
so
probably.
Like if he had done the third one, maybe we would be talking a little bit more about it. Or maybe, maybe a 4th. If he'd done 4, because Leprechaun did like 4 or 5, I think. And 3 of them were hilarious. So that's part of it.
I think he did 6 of them, wasn't it? At 4, but it was 6 because there's 2 hoods. It was like 4 hoods in space, and there's 2 hoods. So he did 6, and then they've made a bunch more without him. But this, it's weird. I mean, it's weird because Julian Sands was such a great actor, and it's really good. Him playing this character he's really in the zone with it, and it could have been it could have been a franchise and a more recognizable character. Even Candyman, there's 3 of them on the original run. I think people recognize Candyman more than they would Warlock.
Yeah.
But
and also because, like, I don't know, I feel like Tony Todd, I think, had more of a varied career than Julian Sands did. Like Tony Todd was the lead in the Night of the Living Dead remake.
Yeah,
And
he's really good in that too.
Yeah, and he also did like several prestige dramas and things where he had several parts in that.
Well, Julian Sands did a lot more dramas than Tony Todd did. He was but he didn't do horror that much though. This was
he did this, and he also did a vampire movie that I can't remember the name of right now, where he's the lead. Boxing Helena, but he was a vampire in a movie that was supposedly based on Edgar Allan Poe's Annabelle Lee.
Yeah,
I can't remember the name of it.
Yeah, I did see him in Phantom of the Opera by Dario Argento. Which
So,
we're gonna
get to that one day.
That was very bizarre. Yeah, very bizarre film. But what is that vampire movie you're talking about? I do remember.
I think it's called something of the vampire. I can't remember the name of it now. But it was one of those things. It was made by a Japanese director, and it was made as like a video project that they expanded into a feature film because it tested so well, or something like that. It was really weird, and it's like the cover is just like his face, and like he's got red eyes, and what was it called?
He was also in Rose Red too, which I completely forgot he was in.
Oh yeah, that's right. He was in Stephen King. Oh, it's called Tale of a Vampire.
Okay, now I've never seen that, but no.
Oh crap, that's right. I remember the poster for that. I've still never seen that movie. Yeah. I do remember that one.
Yeah. So he must have done that like right around this time because he's got the same haircut and everything.
This boxing Helena, Tale of the Vampire was 92. These were all around the same time.
Yeah. Oh, he was busy those years. Yeah.
So this is sequence after this circus thing where we go back to Samantha and Kenny outside of the gazebo, and she has her dramatic weird mouth scene that she's talking about bad dreams, and she's like starts doing this real ugly crying is what it's like,
I know what you're talking about, dude.
Yeah, it goes on for a while, and it's like I know she's given like this kind of hallmarky scene, but they go a little hard with it, I think. And she definitely goes a little. She's trying too hard, I think, in that scene, and she's got the crying going, and it's something about her voice too in this movie seems really whiny a lot.
Yeah, and I think there's a problem too with the sound a little bit with some of the dialogue. I don't think it was well dialogue edited. Whatever a dialogue editor does, I don't think that person was doing their job very well. Because like a lot of the dialogue feels ADR'd, and it doesn't look natural.
It seemed kind of clean. It seemed fairly clean to me on the Blu-ray, but it's possible that they ADR'd it, but her voice is not strong in this film. I don't know. It may just be her way her voice is, but it seems like she could have strengthened it a little bit. It just seems like way too high pitched or too whiny or something like that, you know.
Yeah, if this were a Hammer movie, they would just dubbed her with another actor.
Yeah. But yeah, I remember watched Hellraiser 3 was before this one, and I thought she was really good in that, but she's playing a completely different type of character. Really good chemistry between her and the main actress in that one.
Yeah. But this one, I feel like, what happened after that? I believe isn't that when one of the other
the elevator sequence.
Yeah, one of the old guys takes the dagger and goes rogue and tries to stop, or at least temporarily to be a speed bump in the Warlock's pursuit of the gems, and he fails miserably. I will say, I do really, really like that elevator scene.
Yeah, it's great. It's a great scene. I like that too.
He doesn't know what the Warlock looks like, but he's got a little sphere that is kind of reminds me of Phantasm a little bit, but he's got this like little sphere, this little metal sphere that is a compass, which is kind of sort of like the compass they used in the first movie, but he's got it in his pocket, and it's going to lead him to the Warlock, and he gets into the elevator with the Warlock, and it's going wild.
Yeah. And it's
And
like I like the way people come into the elevator and out, and then it's like a kind of a longer elevator ride. I guess he's going up to the penthouse of this high rise.
yes, this, my friends and ladies and gentlemen home, this is a sequence that I feel like was probably in the first movie. Like, this feels like the first Warlock. This feels like something suspenseful. This feels like something clever. And even the way he kills the guy and the way they shoot it is also clever and kind of understated in a way, but
Yeah.
clever and gross and weird. And I'm not even going to spoil it because I want y'all out there, if you watch this stupid movie, this scene might be the one reason that you're like, wow, that was worth it. So, yeah, it's a great scene.
Yeah, no, that's a
Moving
great
on.
scene. I like that actor too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then he gets up to the top, and then we see the art collector, and it's kind of it's just kind of the credibility of him tricking all these people so easily becomes this is the least credible. It's a really rich dude who's he's not wanting to sell the stone or and then he I guess part of the rules are they have to give it to him. I
Yeah.
don't he can't just buy it from him apparently. They have to give it to him willingly.
Yeah, we established that, but we
Yeah.
also established that he's clever and he's going to figure out ways to get them to give it to him. And
But
I always love though the way he puts the other stones because he was because he nags him basically. He's like, I heard you have this piece. And he's like, it's not for sale. And he's like, and Warlock turns around and goes, well, that's a pity because that stone has 3 other companion pieces, which I was going to show you, but now. And then he's like, wait. Okay,
yeah.
show me. And he does. And I always love the way that he shows the stones. Like he puts them, he like opens his hand and they just like magnetically just go to their positions on the glass or whatever it is, and they just stick there. And I always thought that was cool for some reason. I
Yeah,
don't know
no,
why.
that is pretty cool. We didn't mention in the circus scene, he actually comes in and he's going to sell it to the guy, and he's like, how much you want for it? And the guy's like, I don't know, like $100. He's like, $100. He's like, no, $75. He's like, this thing is priceless. But it's funny.
He's insulted that he's
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder though. I mean, I don't know if it's really established that you can't just buy it though from somebody, but maybe it is. But it's funny if he can just buy it because he could have just paid the guy $100 or $75 and taken it, not banished him to the mirror world. But he would prefer to do that. He'd prefer to kill him in a grotesque
I'm not even
way.
sure Warlock has cash. I mean, he must have whatever Zach Galligan's character had in his wallet, which I can't imagine it was that much.
Yeah.
Well, he had the taxi driver and everyone else he's killed along the way. We don't see all. It's a long way from New York all the way over there, dude.
Yeah. It's kind of like, in the Big Lebowski, though, when they get to the Big Lebowski, like Kingpin, when they get to the end of that and they're like having to pay the fee to go into the bowling thing, they're like, it's $25 or whatever. And they're like, well, I guess that's it, He gets there.
I'm
Like,
going to drop a Kingpin reference in the middle of this podcast.
He dropped a lot of references.
It's such a great scene, though, because it's funny because you're expecting them, okay, $25, no big deal. And they're like, shit, I guess we're done,
But yeah, I guess to this art collector, his name is Nathan, we understand. And he's like, this is, and honestly, I think this is probably the kill everybody remembers from this movie. It's the kill Kevin remembered from this movie because he mentioned it in the previous podcast.
I always found this one hilarious and disturbing at the same time. So.
It's the Gumby kill.
The Gumby kill. So, like, he says that if you give me this stone, I will show you the most fabulous piece of art the world has ever known. And he just believes the Warlock. He's like, okay, fine, I'll do it. Gives him magic thing, shoo, and he's like, okay. And he just stands there and he's like, come on, show it to me. And he puts his thumb up, and he's like, and then the guy's neck freaks out, and then his body starts twisting. And then I'm thinking, oh, okay, this is pretty cool. But by the time it was over, though, I felt a little cheated because there's a point to the transformation where they kind of speed it up, and bam, he's now this little, Nathan is now been twisted into this little art piece with an eyeball and a mouth, and that's it. And he's
Looks
still
like Gumby,
alive,
like
but
a Picasso Gumby.
Picasso. Yeah.
yeah. He looks at him in his hand. He picks him up and looks at him and goes, Picasso. Definitely Picasso.
And he twists his nose just a little bit to twist it a little bit more, and then sets him down. I was like, okay.
Yeah, he's still alive at that point,
Yeah,
I
he's
guess.
still alive. Yeah. He won't be able to eat, but he's still alive.
He has a mouth. Somebody had to feed him, I guess.
I don't know if he has a stomach anymore. He's a piece of art.
When he comes into that room, he does this. The secretary asking him what he's doing, and he like takes his hand and waves it, and her mouth is suddenly covered, and she can't talk anymore.
Yeah, and he says she's looking for a new opening.
yeah.
Which I guess if that were me, I'd just like cut my mouth open at that point and then call the police.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna quit right now. Someone just covered my mouth up with my own flesh, and I have to cut it open. I'm gonna leave. Bye.
I mean, it's at least I will say that effect looks better than the one they did on Keanu Reeves in The Matrix, and they did that same thing.
Oh,
yeah. I mean, actually, that doesn't look bad though when they do that to her mouth. It's one of the better effects.
It is. Yeah. It totally is.
The Gumby thing looks okay too. It's not bad.
Yeah, it's a great little puppet. I just wish that I guess my problem is I wish the transformation had been a little bit longer and a little grosser. Because I feel like when you're doing that kind of body horror, you got to lean into it. You know what I mean?
Especially considering what they did at the very beginning of the movie to begin with the birth sequence. You'd expect a little bit more.
Yeah, they went all in on that. They never really get to that height again. No. They could have a few times, but then they either budgetary reasons or they decided not to, or for whatever. But there's definitely a few times where they could have done something that gruesome again.
Yeah.
Yep. Seeing it gruesome, there's a lot of bugs in this movie. Do you notice that?
Yeah. It's all about
roaches.
End of times in the Armageddon is approaching.
There's bugs in the compass thing. There's bugs on the table. There's bugs in the Bible. There's bugs all over the Reverend's feet for reasons I don't quite understand. But
there's a lot going on in this movie, really.
It's a theme. It's a reoccurring visual motif. Is the bugs, dude. You don't have to always have a reason for them. We just like bugs. The director just likes bugs. Bugs are everywhere.
With that, going into the next sequence is Samantha visits Kenny's dad, and which we kind of talked about earlier. And there's a pretty cool looking pilgrim picture on the wall that
for a second there, I thought that picture was a picture of Julian Sands in a previous incarnation.
It's from the first Thanksgiving.
Because he's wearing a pilgrim hat, yeah. But it looked like Julian Sands. He's got blonde cropped hair. Yeah. I thought maybe that was like, I don't know.
It could have been. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's a pilgrim.
At straws at this point. Yeah,
it's kind of funny that he'd have a picture of a pilgrim randomly on the wall, but it's there. It kind of gave me like I was like, okay, yeah, I guess it's a druid pilgrim.
Yeah, I was about to say a period druid pilgrim or something.
Yeah.
It could be.
Production designers put that stuff up there, the art direction, to tie into something visually that we're now just picking apart.
Yeah, no, I like the pilgrim thing. I thought it was a nice touch, but then that's when she closes the door on him and like locks it, so we know that she's got the powers. And then we see Kenny levitating. We talked about that earlier, and he befriends the squirrel, which the director said that was like just a kind of a luck thing. There's a squirrel there, and he was nice and.
Wait a minute. Are you saying that was a wild squirrel that just befriended the actor? Is that what it was?
Well, now that I'm thinking about it, it may have been the way that he worded it. It's the way it sounded, but I think that maybe it may have been a trained squirrel that they had. Yeah, I don't know. But
I was about to say
the way he said it was there are some squirrels that are tame though that will let you touch them if they've been fed enough.
I mean, when I went to St. Petersburg College, we had there was a big quad area, and there were a bunch of squirrels there that would just come right up to you. One of them almost came right up to me, arm's length away, and looking at me like expecting me to give him food. I never did, but I thought, wow, this is wild.
Yeah. Some of them get tame. I've even seen deer that get tame like that and will let you touch them. If you're feeding them and stuff. But then, like, he was that's when the motorcycle part happens too that Kevin likes so much when he when he takes his motorcycle apart for no reason.
I'm like, but he needs to show off to the squirrel and to nature because they're
Yeah,
laughing at him. So,
yeah, yeah.
which, before I rewatched it, the scene never took to my brain like that. But I was rewatching and I was like, oh my God, how hokey is this damn scene here?
Yeah,
And it
but
made it worse because the visual effects for all the machine parts look so hokey and bad.
yeah.
And yeah.
Between that and then the baseball scene, those are definitely the two worst scenes, I think. It did that then like was that's when Samantha confronts her dad and kills herself and all that good stuff happens. And then we get into the prostitute hitchhiker.
Uh,
Yeah.
I feel like this is the one scene they could have cut from the movie and it would have been just fine.
Yeah,
You
because
you needed that prostitute hitchhiker.
we would have never needed to know about his map like dying on him and needing fresh blood. They could have cut that.
Well, they needed another kill, I guess, in
Another
there.
kill. Yeah,
Really, any excuse to show that Warlock is a scene, but this prostitute's a little much. Clearly, he's this Warlock character, Julius Sands, the way he does it is very attractive to most people. They seem to like automatically want him. But I feel like no matter who picked her up, she may have been doing the same sort of shtick. But
Yeah.
it's a little like hokey, and it's not.
And I was
Yeah, I don't
I
know.
was wondering why it was even in the movie, and I tried to figure out, is she somebody famous or was she the director's girlfriend? And I couldn't figure anything out. I mean, the most she had ever done was like some Skinemax movies that I had not seen and will never see. But that was it. I mean, I think maybe it was probably like a studio mandated thing where like you got to have some more gore. But like
Yeah.
well, the birthing scene, like, no, you need more gore. Like, fine. All right, let's scalp this poor lady.
Yeah.
So he hand scalps her. Like, that's another thing is like, unlike the kills at this point have been mostly clever and interesting and sometimes a little funny at least. This one, he just brutally just rips her scalp off, and just uses it to rub on the skin, the skin map, like you said.
Yeah.
And also, at this point, I realized that looking at his trajectory of his journey, I realized, wait a minute, this road trip, this is the opposite of what they did in the first movie. Because in the first movie, they started on the West Coast and traveled to Baltimore on the East Coast. And this movie, they start in New York on the East Coast and travel to San Bernardino on the West Coast.
Yeah, it's kind of cool. They switched it up. They could have yeah, funny thing about it, I was laughing at this scene. I don't know. I mean, you said it wasn't funny. I was cracking up. He ripped her hair off and then he just kicks her out of the car and she's like rolls. I was just I mean, it was stupid, but I was just like that was kind of funny to me.
And she rolls up against the sign to San Bernardino.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, this movie almost hates women. Almost hates women.
Yeah.
It's pretty bad. But yeah, so he goes to this sets the stage for the climax, the big fight where our characters finally get to throw hands and throw magic stones at this guy. There's only 2 stones left, we find out. And now Kenny's got one and Sammy's got one. And they're both trained mostly druid warlocks. Or not, sorry. They're druid warriors. Jedi, whatever, Druish, whatever, they got magic and they're going to use their magic against him. And we know that the other signs are happening, the fall. But the night before that, we got some business to attend to.
Yep.
The night before that, Kenny and Sammy have to have an emotional scene between the two of them and get interrupted by freaking the bully from Andy. What's his name? Yeah.
We all forgot about Andy by this point.
We did.
We hadn't seen him for like 30 or 40 minutes, and the dude with the mullet comes back.
And he comes up for reasons, and he comes in, parks his truck, shines his lights, and starts a fight, and Sammy force chokes him, literally, and he gets scared and runs away, abandons his 4x4.
Yeah, just runs away.
Yeah.
abandons his obviously very expensive truck.
Yeah.
And just leaves it there. And then, of course, this whole display, I guess, turns Kenny on a lot. And he starts making out with her, and she's like, "What?" And he's like, back in the old days, warriors used to make love before a battle, which is, by the way, not true, unless you were Spartans, maybe. But yeah, so he convinces her to roll around on the fall leaves, because leaves just start falling down all around them. And honestly, it is a really beautiful shot when it goes overhead, looking down at them, writhing around, and the leaves are coming down upon them. The mistletoe is above them. It's a nice shot. It's fine. You don't see much more of their stuff, which I appreciate.
Yeah.
But then that's
Well,
it.
yeah. They're technically like supposed to be, I guess they're maybe 18 or 19, so I guess it wouldn't be that big a deal. But I mean, I still kind of feel like they're pretty young.
They should
Yeah,
act like they're pretty young.
yeah. And then he gives her a stone to keep around her neck. Does he keep one of the stones on him, or do they?
Yeah,
he
he
doesn't
does.
have one. R.G. Armstrong's Frank has the other stone. Frank's has one stone, and
Yeah.
he gives him the other stone. Why the two warriors don't have one stone each? I just really realized that when I was rewatching, is like that doesn't make any sense, because
That is kind of dumb. Now that I
It's
think
not.
about
It's
it,
not.
yeah.
It's not well. It's not well thought out by their part. But that's when the warlock arrives in town, and there's a waitress that we've seen a few times.
That's who she was? I completely
Yeah,
forgot who she was.
yeah. There's a random waitress. We see it's shown her a couple other times, and
Yeah.
he comes across her, and the next day she's crucified upside down in town, and
everybody sees her and thinks the druids did it.
Yeah.
And yeah, it would have been an interesting climax to a townspeople being prejudiced against them thing if they'd actually bothered to develop that beat a little bit more, but they didn't. So
well,
instead,
the good news is the baseball is back.
Yeah, the ball is back. And Kenny uses the power of levitating baseball to scare off all those ignorant town folk and be like, "Dad, we gotta go. The Warlock's here. Let's save the world." He's like, "Okay, let's go."
Yeah. But they say, "Where's Frank's at?"
Yeah.
They're like, "Oh wait, where's Frank?"
Yeah. Now this is I feel like this was so poorly done. Yeah, because it's like, all right, so this is a very important scene. Like the warlock it cuts to him in the middle. He's got Frank's, he's killing him and torturing him, and it's like there's no lead into that. It's just like it's so random, and it makes
I noticed that too.
Yeah, and
you're right, Dave.
Yeah,
I wrote the same thing here. I said to myself, and I wrote it down. I was like, "Wait, what the heck?" Okay, this is what past Tom Terrell said to future self. What the heck? Why are we doing this now?
Yeah.
Because some of that is so random. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's the editing or the script. It's probably a little bit of both. Maybe Anthony Hickok is just terrified of boring the audience at this point.
Yeah.
But there are times
like,
where it's just like, wait, weren't we just there? Maybe it's because there's no establishing shots. But we had like a very abrupt transition from that scene with the floating baseball and the town folk to basement laboratory. And then Warlock's torturing poor E.G. Martin, whatever his name is, with an axe.
Yeah, but the problem with that is this is a cool scene, and I feel like they cut it for time purposes because the Warlock there should have been an intro into this scene about how he came across Frank's, and there should have been a little bit of a back and forth before just randomly, and because this is a setup for like a really cool part that reminds me of like Buffy the Vampire Slayer's 6th season when Giles reappears to stop Dark Willow, because he comes into the room all acting like that, and then he shoots the Frank's character and kills him like a mercy kill. But it's like that, the way that he acts when he comes into the room, it's like, I am now ready to fight you. Even though it happened, the same exact thing happens that happens to Giles. He gets beat up right away, pretty much,
Yeah, I know. It's like we're doing the Hammer hurry up at this point,
Yeah, but there's definitely, but they go on for a while though with the fighting, because there's still like a good 20 minutes of the movie left, but they had to cut this Frank scene, I think.
Yeah,
but it makes that really bad. I think that whole sequence. I think that would
not only the death of Frank's, here in the lead up to the death of Franks, but also with the fact that Kenny just shows up down there. Like he knows where Franks is and where the Warlock is, and like he just shows up there wanting to do battle. Of course, it goes poorly because the
Right.
whole building explodes, and his ass goes flying through the air, and then he gets impaled on our pipe that we discussed a little bit earlier. That that doesn't look really, really good. The way it wiggles around a little bit every once in a while when Kitty moves the wrong way.
Yeah.
It's also very frustrating that he's stuck on the pipe. It's really annoying. But
the rest of the movie is frustrating because he gets stuck on the pipe for most of it, and then he gets tied up to a tree for the rest of it.
Yeah, he kind of he comes in and kills Franks instead of fighting the Warlock. But it's like he comes in and Mercy kills Franks. It's like, and Franks is like, what you killing me for, man?
Well, we should probably explain too, guys. We should probably explain he Mercy kills Frank because the way Warlock's torturing Frank with an axe is that he's slowly dismembering him, apparently, after he's crucified him to the tree that is growing in the basement. And he's like, he's got the stone in the other hand that's not cut off, or is in the process of getting it. He's like, give me the stone. I'll never give you the stone. Give me the stone. I'll never give you the stone. Whack.
Yeah, he just takes it. He doesn't. Yeah, he just takes the stone.
Yeah, because he whacks his arm off, and the arm opens and drops the stone, which is like the stupidest loophole.
Counts. Yeah, I guess that counts.
The stupidest loophole in all of magic.
Yeah. Oh God.
So Kitty had his one shot at the werewolf. At the Warlock. He had his shot, and instead of doing that, he mercy kills Franks.
Exactly.
And that ends up getting him stuck on a pipe, and then it gets his dad and his girlfriend's dad killed, all because he chose to do that mercy kill.
Yeah, which doesn't make any sense. You can mercy kill someone after you kill the Warlock, dude.
Yes,
priority straight.
Yeah.
Kill the Warlock first, and then kill your friend. That's how it's supposed to work, right?
Yes.
Yeah. I mean,
yes, there are times when friendship doesn't come first. This is one of them.
Yeah, I mean, it was just frustrating. And then something kind of cool does happen. Like when he's stuck on that pipe, there's a car that's driving down the street. I guess Kenny's driving the car, I assume, and then it tries to run the Warlock over with it. But then the dad and the Reverend show up with shotguns, and they screw it up too. It's kind of cool.
Yeah.
It's kind of cool that they shoot the Warlock, but they know they can't stop him. Now they shot him, and he's incapacitated for a few seconds. So what do you do at that point? You just stand there and wait, or do you try to get Kenny off the pipe, or do you do the other magical thing that they end up being able to do is put like the magical potion on Kenny and heal him? So it's like maybe they could have saved themselves and everybody if they just went and healed Kenny real quick. And where's Samantha at this point anyway? So
I have no clue where she is.
But remember, Kenny sent her away with the other stone, so she's supposed to not be anywhere near there.
They really blew this. This whole thing could have ended in town here, not over by the Stonehenge rocks.
I mean, now that I think about it, I think the part of the reason why the director wanted or the writers wanted to have the old guys try to shoot the Warlock with their guns is probably maybe something that they thought of from when they watched the first movie, assuming that they ever actually watched the first movie. There's parts of this movie where I'm thinking they never actually did watch the first movie, but this time I think maybe they did because they probably were thinking, why doesn't somebody just shoot the guy? And I'm like, you know what? Let's address, because I think Hickok's thought that some jughead and no offense to Marines out there, I just thought of that. That's the first insult that came into my head. Some Luddite, there you go, some Lurdo, whatever, somebody who's just sitting there this whole time grinding his molars, thinking, just friggin' shoot the guy, just friggin' shoot him in his head. He's human, he'll just friggin' die. And you know what? They're like, okay, fine. Here's some shotguns. This is what would happen if you actually just shot a Warlock. Bam, down, back up. Okay, now we know. And guess what? He now can magically shoot you with his finger guns.
Well, no, see, I always thought that was dumb because, you're talking about two characters who are druids who have had their powers for many freaking years, yet we don't see them use anything against the Warlock. Nothing. They use regular guns. And that's what kind of threw me off when I rewatched it. I was like, okay, so this is dumb because he's using powers to save Kenny earlier, and if they're teaching Kenny his powers, wouldn't they actually have some of those powers themselves and be able to use them better than Kenny since they're teaching Kenny? So
yeah, and
do you think,
let's not forget the freaking stupid trick that apparently makes him bleed. I know that the guy who discovered it is now dismembered and dead, but you think the other guy would have hey, remember when Frank said, that stupid thing with the leaf? We could have done that right there. That's what I thought was going to happen.
They don't know that worked, though.
They can try it, though.
But they had no idea. They thought it was like it didn't work at all. But this...
It was a smarter idea than the gun thing.
But the gun,
yeah, but the gun now, him shooting them with his hands, it works okay because he actually has the bullets in him that they shot him, so he basically shoots the bullets back at them.
I didn't even see that. I thought it was just magic bullets. At the time that they killed him.
I think Dave's just talking out of his butt on that one.
Yeah, but I thought it was magic bullets. The same magic bullets that killed Kennedy. Yeah,
he does climb down from the roof on invisible stairs too, right?
I know.
Yeah.
I forgot.
That actually was.
I forgot that.
Yeah, that actually was kind of cool. Actually, now that I think about it,
it's like a Western shootout. I like the idea. I mean, it's kind of cool, and it's like a Western shootout. But it's kind of frustrating that they don't take the opportunity to try to do something more when he's incapacitated briefly, because he goes all the way up to the roof and climbs down the stairs, and and he's got this, like, Bruce Glover's character, the Reverend guy's got these potions in his freaking coat,
Yeah.
They could have been running over there. They could have been trying to pull him off that stupid pipe.
Yeah.
I always think, I think this is where the movie starts getting even worse for me, is some of the logic. And we say this now because we're in the age of superhero shit that it could be done real easily, to be honest with you. But back then, that stuff wasn't easily done. Hence why we had the Roger Corman's Fantastic Four and the Captain America movies that eventually went straight to video. We had to, so I kind of forgive it a little bit because of our mindset now. But it does beg to differ with all the other stuff the movie does, that these two characters just show up with guns and don't use any druid powers whatsoever. But, or it would have been better if you not even show them have powers at all.
How much power do you think they actually had, though? You think so? We see the dad maybe do the sprinkler thing, but you think Kenny may have done the sprinkler, or you think it was the dad that did it?
No, I think it was the dad. I think the editing makes us believe that it's the dad.
That's the only thing. That's the only thing we see him do, though, right?
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
That is. But to be honest with you, you kind of think that if they've had this power for as long as they have, as long as their kids have been alive, because they've been druids their entire life, that they have the power or some type of power, that they, especially with the father, Kenny's father, who acknowledges his druid side, unlike Tim with Samantha's father, that he would at least use them, even though he knows it won't, it's just a missed opportunity to actually show
or the least they could have done. At least they could have done was like call like they're druids. They know magic stuff. And if they know magic stuff, then they should know at least as much about magic as Richard E. Grant did in the first movie, and know all the different ways to hurt a warlock. They could have done the thing where you put a freaking nail in the ground in his footprints, or in this case, his boot prints, because unlike the first movie, he does have shoes in this movie, and he wears them all the time. To hammer them down to his foot tracks, and then bam, he hurts. There's so many stupid little things they could have done.
Yeah.
Oh, and we would have bought it.
Yeah, and that's the other reason why I always consider these two different warlocks, because they don't go by the same rules. Like the leprechauns in each movie, they don't go by the same rules.
Yeah, I agree with you now.
Which I'm fine with. I've always been fine with that. But certain things like this, where we're explaining the end of it, is like that nagging thing. It's like,
yeah, and that's the thing about franchises, is that if you're gonna do a sequel to a movie where your bad guy is completely vanquished, and if you were to bring him back in the next movie, resurrected somehow, he's already got the name of God, and all he has to do is come back to life, bellow it to the heavens backwards, and he's erased and he's uncreated everything. So unless you've made some kind of thing where his regeneration makes him forget all that, then you have to basically start from scratch again. You have to take what was done before. So again, we talk about, why does Evil Dead 2 work and this movie doesn't? Part of the reason is, clearly they were trying to do what Evil Dead 2 did, which was they were trying to do what the first movie did, and they were trying to improve upon the things the first movie didn't do so well, which was a lot of the visual effects stuff just didn't work because they didn't have the budget for it. And Steve Miner just isn't that great a camera-focused director. Steve Miner's more, I think, focused on mood and character. That's more his thing. But for this one, yeah, sure, they got more of a budget. Yeah, sure, they got more fancy camera work. Yeah, sure, they got all that stuff. But they forgot what made that movie more interesting. But in a way, I feel like they had a good idea. And the good idea was, let's basically remake the first movie, but do it differently, but have a plot that have a thing, that a MacGuffin, if you will, that makes more sense than the uncreation of the world thing. It will have the same actor. Julian Sands was great. Let's keep him. Let's have him do magic that kills people. We got that going for us. But they forgot that a lot of the charm of the first movie was Richard E. Grant and his fish out of water relationship with somebody from the 20th century. We have none of that in this movie. And I think what Evil Dead 2 got right was yes, out of necessity, they couldn't do a direct sequel to Evil Dead 1. They had to do a remake of Evil Dead 1, but they went beyond what Evil Dead 1 was. Because the remake part of Evil Dead 2 was really only the first 10 minutes of the movie. Not even.
Yeah.
So I think that was the problem. So you can do a remake / sequel, which is what this is, right. But if you're gonna do it, don't do it the way this movie does.
I mean, so during that, so after the dads do all this and they get shot, this is when Samantha actually pulls up on the middle of the street on a motorcycle, and she's like,
on his motorcycle, on Kenny's
she got Kenny's motorcycle. She's like, here's the necklace, come and get it. And then I guess they need to get him back to the Stonehenge site. Is that a good thing to get him back there? Is that how they can kill him or something?
Well, it's funny because they don't make this very clear. Yeah. But what they do say earlier is that all we have to do is stop his gate ritual, because
bring him to the gate's the way to go then, right?
Yeah. Because they should leave him away from the gate, but she leads him towards the gate for reasons. Yeah. But the gate is apparently you find out later that the gate is in Stonehenge. It's in Santa Barbara, Stonehenge. And if what they said, okay, so if Warlock if we stop Warlock from opening the gate, because apparently he only has a very narrow bit of time to perform this ritual and do it right, because there's a solar eclipse that's going to happen now. So, like, when the solar eclipse happens, and they do get this right, total solar eclipses, the event of totality really only happens for a couple of minutes. So once that's done, it's done. Solar eclipses don't happen for like hours or something. But so he's only got like a couple of minutes to do this thing and set his daddy Satan free. So they figure if we can just distract him long enough. And then they also say, well, how are we going to do that? Well, if we can just get some bright light onto the stones, that will shut the portal. And then one of the old guys like, how are we going to do bright light in the middle of an eclipse? Good luck with that. Yeah. Well, apparently he forgets electricity exists, but okay. Anyway,
they said that in the dialogue.
They did.
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
I'm glad.
Yeah.
I'm glad to hear that, because that was I had some questions about that part. It makes sense now. I'm glad they actually
see,
thought
there you
about
go.
that. Yeah.
So then they said we'll figure out how to kill him later. That was their whole thing. Is like all we have to do is stop him from bringing Satan to Earth. Then we'll figure out how to kill him later.
Yeah.
So
that's what she does. Sammy chases him all the way. Well, actually, this is probably the only part of the movie where we see him fly a lot, like he does in the first movie. So he flies after her and does this cool, karate somersault in the air and lands, and he gets her. And we realize that Sammy made a stupid mistake when she said, "Here's your damn locket. Come and get it. Your damn necklace." And then he says, "I think your exact words were, 'Here's your damn necklace.'" And I'm like, oops, should have said that differently. Because now he sees it as, "Oh, you're giving it to me. Thanks."
Yeah. Not a good move on her part. She is able to fight him better than Kenny. Yeah,
and he decides not to kill her, though. He decides to just, force, push her onto Anthony's truck, which is still there, conveniently parked right next to Santa Barbara Stonehenge, and all of the, and some tubes from the truck come out and Evil Dead style wrap in reverse.
Oh yeah, kind of reminds me of Hellraiser a little bit, and she was in Hellraiser too. But he does do something real ridiculous. She does take a branch, sticks it through the Warlock, and he's stuck to the ground for a minute.
Oh, that's cool.
And then it was just cool, but then she sits there and talks smack and walks away instead of like going ahead and dealing with him more, and
because he does some magic where the stick just comes out, passes through his face, like T-1000 with the bars in Terminator 2.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember that sequence in the trailer for the movie. So
that's but, I mean, she had him stuck there. I don't know if she had the means of killing him past that, but she should have just kept putting more stuff into him,
No, she didn't have it because she didn't have that freaking magic dagger.
Yeah.
Because that's what you need.
Yeah.
But she was kind of dumb. And that's how he gets the stones from her. And then he restrains Kenny, because that's what Kenny does best, is he gets restrained or incapacitated somehow.
Yeah, but he does show back up and he hits the stone with like a lightning strike that, something. And then he gets immediately restrained too. And then they're both restrained.
Yeah.
And then he has that beautiful moment before that, though, when Sans bellows to the heavens and says, "Is this the best you can do?"
Wait.
That was clearly done for the trailer specifically.
Well, that was earlier too. That was in the town when he says that.
Yeah. Because even then he's unimpressed.
Yeah, when the first thing when Kenny's impaled, he's like laughing. Is this all you got? This is the best you can do. Yes, also in trailer. And then of course, the fact that he's looking for the what do you call it, the Druid warrior, and they're not really prepped, trained, or anything. They would have never beat the Warlock in like any type of competition using magic, which is so funny to me because of all the training that we see and everything else that we see Kenny do. It's all completely pretty much useless.
Yeah. I mean, actually, if you think about it, that part of it actually, that part of the script actually does work, because if we thought for any second that Kenny and Sammy are totally going to take this Warlock down with their magic druid powers, there's no suspense. they have to be incompetent kids in order for there to be some kind of suspense.
Hey,
Right? Yeah,
That part-
I think yeah, I agree.
That part's fine.
I think we needed the Richard Grant character, the one who knows all this.
Well,
Yes.
well, I think what the power of them is them together, and it always was, and that's what the guys didn't get because he's not able to stop him until they work together as a team, and they should have been training that way to begin with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the only
Yeah, you know what? I think instead of Romeo and Juliet, they should have been doing The Tempest, because Shakespeare's The Tempest is all about a wizard who is like trying to get revenge on the people who wronged him, and his fairy says, should you use your power to save them or not? Like they should have like had some kind of callback to Shakespeare or something that would have elevated this horror movie a little bit.
Well, I think that they had to do like a romantic play because of the way that he had to be kind of jealous of her having to do the kissing scene with the Andy Mullet dude.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, there's some
yeah,
romance in
yeah.
The Tempest too, though. I mean, there's stuff. I don't know if y'all have read it, but yeah,
Yes, I've read it.
It's got some stuff. Yeah,
But it wouldn't have been the same type of scene though. I think the Romeo and Juliet works. Even Tempest would have been a little heavy handed to find the right bit to pull from it. But now we're down to what happens. Then he's actually able to use the stones, bring the black funnel tunnel thing back, and it opens up and a really bizarre looking computer animated devil comes out. It looks a little bit better.
I'm not sure if it's computer animated. It looks like they got a guy, but they did some kind of overlay on it.
Yeah, it doesn't look. It looks okay. It's not like it's not horrible and you don't see it for very long, fortunately. But that's when Kitty uses the headlights to shine the light on it. Like that, I was going to make fun of that part, but you guys actually cleared that up, so we're not going to.
Welcome to the 20th century, asshole.
Yeah.
Yep, that's what he says. Welcome to the 20th century, asshole. But you know what? And he needs Sammy's help to turn on the truck. Because in the first movie, Richard E. Grant does not kill the Warlock. She, what's her name? She kills the Warlock with her diabetes power. With some salt water. But in this one, they have to quote work together
to turn the lights on. They can't
Yeah, but that's not the only time they work together, though. They actually work together to kill him after that. But then, because then that stops the eclipse. The devil goes back in, and then the sun returns, and then the Warlock's just like, at this point, he's like, man, I'm like really mad now. You guys,
what's funny is like if you think about it, though, the Warlock is slumped over the gate of hell. He looks dead. We know he's not, but he looks dead. And Sammy and Kenny are able to get out of their restraints because his magic is diminished now. And I'm thinking to myself, when the Warlock comes to and he has a nice little jump scare too. It actually got me when he restrains Kenny. And I thought to myself, wait a minute, Warlock, my boy, why are you messing with these kids? Why are you trifling with them? All you have to do is kill them, leave, and just hang around for 600 to 800 years. Just hang around, and you'll get the stones again, and you get another try.
Well, he would have the stones. He's got them. He just keep them.
So all he's got to do is just walk away, wait for 600 years. He'll get another eclipse, and then he'll get another shot to do the same daggum thing.
It's a long time, man. That's a long time.
But nope, he's got to freaking be extra and try to kill these guys. And the magic dagger comes out. Kenny got the magic dagger, but but they had this whole psychic tug of war.
Where does that dagger come from? Is that the dagger from earlier? Is it the Warlock kept it or something?
Julian Sands has it, but there's no reason why he should still have it after he kills Ethan in the elevator. There's no reason to keep the dagger that's supposed to be the only weapon that kills him.
Oh, yeah. You're right. Because he takes the dagger out and torments Kenny with it.
Almost in a sexual way. It's a little uncomfortable.
And he says, this dagger was supposedly made with metal forged from the Holy Grail. And he's like, let's see. And And I'm like, why would you keep this thing that can kill you on your person? So they have a little psychic tug of war with it, which it's a computer animated, slowly rotating dagger, and it looks like it was made on like Windows 95, and they're tug of war, and then
what's funny? Let me say something real quick. The director, he's like, right before that happened, he's like, yeah, he's like, this knife scene turned out a lot better than the baseball scene, and he's watching it. He's like, no, he's like, this is a lot worse than I remembered it being, you know.
Well, I know because the dagger is very clean as it's going back and forth. Like, oh, that's a pretty clean dagger.
Yeah.
He killed after he used it, or in my theory, he used it to kill Ethan in the elevator because there's a lot of blood in Ethan's corpse in that elevator when it opens up.
Oh, I think he used a lot more than that dagger to kill Ethan.
Well, he had to clean it after that. He's not going to walk around with a bloody knife.
He just let the rotting zombie drive the car the entire way. You know, like he cares about look. No, I just didn't like the idea that he brought it with him. I was like, why?
Yeah, that would be dumb. Leave
that in a freaking lake somewhere as you're driving, and that be the end of the dagger that can kill me. I would not have it with me.
Yeah, see, that's the problem with the script is that they should have had. It would have made more sense that these druids would have multiple warlock killing daggers, just like in The Omen. They had like 12 of them.
they had 600 years to prepare for this, and they only have one dagger.
Yeah, come on. Come on.
It could have been 800 years. I don't know.
Yeah, it's 600 to 800. They should have been more specific.
Yeah,
but they have this tug of war, and then like she helps him, and they stab him. And I gotta say, he's stabbed, he's dying, he melts. And he's walking as he's awesome. Melting. And it's pretty awesome. Like
that's some great practical special effects to do there.
Yeah. I mean, you see his rib cage falling out, you see like his eye melt out of his socket, he just turns into a puddle of black goo, and then just reverse photographies down into the ground. And I guess back to hell. It's a fantastic effect.
Well, it leads almost all the way back to hell.
Yes, because they totally pulled the Jason versus Freddy, which I saw coming a mile away when she was reaching for the birthstone. And then all of a sudden, bah! Warlock's skeletal hand comes up and he grabs the birthstone, and the power thing goes into his hand, and he takes it back down into hell with him. So, and then they just walk away.
Well, it's kind of a funny, well, right before that happens, like when it's funny that they're walking away to begin with, but without taking the stones, it's like, the stones are the whole thing the whole time. You're just going to leave them there. And then she remembers it. He doesn't remember it. I don't know what he's thinking. But
I think he's thinking about getting in her pants after the battle.
Yeah, I'm thinking the same thing.
Yeah, he does seem to be that way, but it's like, get the stones, and she goes back to get the stones by herself, and she takes like an hour to pick them up. And then she's like, sees the one on the ground that's the most important one, and then she's like, oh, I guess I need that one too. And it's like, I'm gonna like slowly reach down and get it. Why don't you just snatch it up? It's like
yeah. And also it begs the question, like, okay, so now Warlock Skeleton has the stone in hell. That's his birthstone. So I guess that means he now has a head start when he comes back in 600 years. He's already got one stone.
Well, no, because in theory, the next time he resurrects himself, it won't be a druid story. It'll be a aboriginal story with warlocks, or it's going to be some other freaking story with warlocks.
Well, it'll be 600 years in the future, so it'll be Warlock 2597, which would have been an awesome movie.
It could be 25 years from now.
This Warlock, he got 600 years. He could do other like wicked stuff. He's come up with some more nefarious things to do than just wait to bring Satan back.
There's other ways to bring Satan to the world than having some rune stones with druids and stuff.
I mean, by 600 years later, he might not even want to do that anymore. He might decide he wants to be Satan himself or something.
But can you imagine how cool it would have been though to have a guy who does magic doing magic stuff in the future in Star Trek technology going all around him? They could have had Warlock in space for the third
no,
movie.
no. I mean, I think
They called it
yeah.
Leprechaun in space. That was your Warlock in space. Leprechaun.
Yeah, this clearly could have kept going with this, and
Oh, well,
people
I'm
weren't
sure
that apparently people weren't that interested in this particular series.
Yeah.
The last shot of them walking away, it's like, I guess it's enough. I don't know. I mean, it's kind of weird that, I mean, you could have just ended with him taking the damn stone under the ground. You don't need to see him walking away, but I mean, I would have liked to seen the dads like lived, even though they got shot like 6 times. But
I think they did. I mean, they've
yeah.
got freaking magic to bring their kids back from the dead. They've got magic that can heal an impaled through the chest. I think they're still alive. I think they rub some druid stuff on them. I mean, come on, in D&D, a druid can cure wounds with it's not that hard. I think they're fine.
Yeah.
Heck, you know what? Frank's probably going to be fine too. They've got some druid magic. I think they can sew him right back together, and he'll be just fine.
Yeah, he'd have been all right had he not gotten shot with that arrow, the mercy kill arrow. So.
He'll be fine. He'll be fine.
All right.
In fact, you know what? That bunny in the road, he'll be fine too. They'll bring him back as well.
No, the bunny and the dog. They're just no. Can't think getting them back,
But you know what's not fine? You know what's not fine is that line that he tried to use to kill the Warlock with. Well, not to kill the Warlock, but to stop the Warlock from unleashing hell. Yeah. He says, "Welcome to the 20th century, asshole." And I'm like, yeah, okay, obvious, but like, I feel like that's been used a couple of times by heroes in other movies.
It seemed a little cliche here and at the same time, I'm like thinking about those lights coming on and what that meant exactly.
Yeah, but now you know though. But I feel like the only one who really made that land was Ash in Army of Darkness. But he says, "Welcome to the 21st century." When he's got the Death Car. That's the only guy who made that land. But who could have really made something better land? Is if we had Arnold Schwarzenegger playing Kenny. So here now, ladies and gentlemen, as my Schwarzenegger alternators to Welcome to the 20th Century, asshole. For those of you who don't know, this is what happens when we have a kill line or some clever quip, and we imagine what it would have been like if Mr. Arnold Schwarzenegger, the king of quips, had done it. I got 4 of these, not as many, because there's not as much I could have done in a short period of time. But here they are for your enjoyment. Number 1. Now imagine Kenny is restrained as Arnold Schwarzenegger doing his muscles, and then he looks at the lights on the car and goes, "And God said, 'Let there be light,' asshole." Little Genesis for you, yeah. Number 2. For my next trick, I'm going to make you disappear. Because he's a magician.
Okay. Yeah, it's I.
Number 3. Now you'll know how a buck feels before it's roadkill. Turns on the lights. Buck hits a car. Roadkill.
Yeah. But what about the rabbit? You could have brought the rabbit into that.
Yeah. Arnold didn't know about the rabbits, So number 4, finally. Sorry, dickwad. Judgment Day's been postponed.
Okay.
That one would have been better if you had said Armageddon Day. Would have been postponed.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, dickwad. Armageddon Day's been postponed.
All right, that gets my thumbs up, people.
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus. All right, guys. So I want to thank you guys for joining me on this conversation about Warlock v. Armageddon. We're going to have a lot of fun with the last film in this franchise.
I hope so.
For everyone out there who's listening, what we love to do is we love to rate the movies between 1 and 5, 1 being poor, 5 being amazing. But what we love to do is we love to take an object, quote, or saying from out of the film to rate the movie. What is your rating and what is your quote object or saying that you want to attribute to that rating. And we're going to start off with you, Dave.
So I'm going to use the flying baseball, which is not a good idea at all. However, I don't dislike this film. I think it's a guilty pleasure for me. I'm going to land it at 3 flying baseballs.
Oh my God. All right. How about you?
Well, dang, Dave, I think three flying baseballs is generous.
Yeah, I figured I probably would. The funny thing when I watched the movie, I did like it. I actually enjoyed watching it, but at the same time, I was like, this is not good at the same time. So that's why I say
but it's
guilty pleasure, you know?
Yeah, yeah, but I feel like it's not so bad. It's good. It's not quite that way. It's not. It's, ladies and gentlemen, this is not The Room with magic. I must be clear on that. It's not that level of genius badness. If it were, then I would rate it much higher. But no, it's not quite there. So there's so many marvelous and terrible objects that I could pick from this, or just plain old terrible objects.
Why don't you name 10 of them?
What?
Why don't you name 10 of them?
No, I mean the stones would be obvious. Like one of the rune stones could be obvious. I actually considered doing a rune stone.
But they only named one of them, like we said, the birthstone. So
I thought about doing that. But then I thought better of it. Instead, I decided to choose something from this movie that really gave me joy, that really gave me a good laugh, that really made me yearn to watch a better movie than this. And it showed a moment in this movie where it touched brilliance, and that moment is when Zach Galligan drops into this movie, bewildered and surprised when his wonderful date doesn't show up, but instead Julian Sands naked shows up. And but what people don't realize is like that Zach Galligan. They open the door. Warlock opens the door, and Zach Galligan has got flowers, this huge bouquet of flowers in front of his face. So you don't see him, but like he pulls the flowers down, and bam, there he's looking at Julian Sands' dong, I guess, and he is bewildered and confused. And I am shocked and amazed that Zach's in this movie. And for a split second, I was like, this is delightful. So I'm going to rate this movie 2.5 bewildered Zach Galligans out of 5.
Okay. Oh, so for the first time in a while, I'm gonna do it differently. Mine's gonna be a quote. So mine's gonna be 2.5. Is this the best you can do?
Yeah.
I had to.
Yeah.
I had to. So with that, I do hope that you all enjoyed this conversation in which we discussed Warlock the Armageddon. Please make sure to check out the other episodes on the other films in the franchise, as well as all the other franchise episodes that we are highlighting this month. It's going to be a great month of episodes here at Conversations in Horror, and we do hope that you enjoy what we have to offer. With that, please make sure to like, share, follow, subscribe. Do that thing you do with your favorite podcast, your favorite podcast app, Spotify, or YouTube, and make sure to check out our companion podcast, Conversations in Hammer Studio Horrors, which delves into the amazing oeuvre that is the 60s, 70s, and 80s of Hammer Studios films. From all of us here at Something Wicked Entertainment, we want you to have a pleasant trip through the woods of the Stonehenge of Druidness. Broken Lighthouse. Take 3. Conversations in Horror is a Broken Lighthouse Pictures production. Written, produced, and directed by Kevin L. Powers. Executive producer Kelly A. Inoka.